5 short years ago, the Stampeders and the Tiger Cats were the two best teams in Canadian football. They met in back-to-back Grey Cups and won one each. Since 1999, it's been a rough ride for the Tiger Cats.
Calgary has one last long shot at making the playoffs. Everyone knows it'll take a miracle, but without a win tonight, it's definitely over.
It's been a wonderful couple of days in the foothills of the Rockies. Tonight, 22 degrees. The wind not much of a factor. Southeast at 13K.
Well, no question, this has been the longest of all seasons in Ron Lancaster's legendary CFL journey. All that's left, his chance to make opponents fight for every point over the final 3 weeks. The Ticats can play spoilers.
Jim Barker is the only coach in CFL history to endure a season like this one. The Stampeders owner had high hopes his son could make it as a pro quarterback over the final few weeks. We'll find out if he can.
So what are the chances of the Calgary Stampeders making the playoffs this season?
About 1,000,000 to 1.
So you're saying there's a chance?
Well, they've got to run the table for starters.
Yeah, they've got to win tonight to get things going. They've got to beat Saskatchewan back-to-back. The Riders win one of their last games, and it's over for Calgary, but they do have that slim chance.
Pride is the motivating factor for two teams on the turf here at McMahon Stadium tonight, and the Stampeders cling to the slimmest of playoff hopes. Stampeders won the toss and elected to kick off to the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Craig East down at the 10. Upended as he crossed the 25, gets to about the 30. The Tiger Cats will give Pete Gonzalez a closer look tonight. Gonzalez had a chance in the early going with Danny McManus on the injured list. Now it's time to see if he might be a candidate for next year. The Cats feel they have a better receiving core with Plummer and Hodge in there, and running back Troy Davis still has a shot at 1,000. Ryan Donnelly gets to try left tackle, and that's the only spot he hasn't played along the offensive line for the Tiger Cats this year.
Chase Raynock out with injuries. He was injured during the week of practice, so Donnelly will play that important left tackle spot tonight.
And here's Pete Gonzalez at the controls. It's Davis locked up for a second and then escaped. He gets about 7, maybe 8 yards, stopped by Joey Bosse, the Stampeder safety.
The strength of the Calgary Stampeders football team has been their front seven all season long. Willie Fells has played in the middle for Alonja Johnson, who's out for the season. Joe Fleming leads the league in quarterback sacks. There is your secondary safety position. Been a bit of a black hole for the Calgary Stampeders. They've gone through 3 or 4. Joey Bosse gets the start tonight.
And on 2nd down and 2, Stampeders should have been able to stop the Tiger Cats, one would have thought. But Hamilton will have a first down as a result.
You know, Calgary still has that slim hope at a playoff spot. So as long as that's there, they will continue to battle that way and try and control their destiny if they can by winning their way the rest of the way out. However, both coaches right now are looking at the future, looking to next year. Which players are going to be the ones they're going to keep in the offseason?
First down, Tiger Cats. Tony Akins to the near side, flank wide left. And this is Akins making the catch. Spins away from 2 Stampeder defenders, and he'll get a first down. So that's back-to-back first downs for the Tiger Cats on this drive with Pete Gonzalez at the controls.
Well, and this is what Ron Lancaster likes about Pete Gonzalez. He's got a strong enough arm to be able to be on the far hash mark and throw a wide field out to Tony Akins right there. That's about a 35-yard throw. He puts it on a line. He says that Gonzalez loves the deep ball. We may see some of that tonight as well.
And he has shown flashes in the early going this season, Pete Gonzalez. But the Ticats have been far from a consistent football team. Here's Davis, who's run well in the last couple of weeks, and that's another Tiger Cat first down, running against this very solid front seven for the Stampeders. And Willie Fells made the tackle there.
Yeah, Troy Davis has really turned his season around. He got off to a very slow start, and in fact, he had fumbled the ball 6 times early in the first half of the season, lost 5 of those fumbles, but in the last 8 games, averaging about 80 yards, and his fumble problems seem to be behind him.
Solid opening drive for the Tiger Cats here. It's Davis again, 3, maybe 4 yards with extra effort, maybe even 5. Check that, it's Julian Radlin carrying the ball.
Well, we talked about Julian Radlin in the opening of the show, and And talk about keepers. That's what Ron Lancaster likes to describe when he's going through the roster, and he'll look at his players and we'll point to one on the depth chart. How about number 33? Yeah, he's a keeper, and that's what he'll call it. We got to keep him in the roster. He's going to be their nominee for outstanding rookie. When everyone knows they're going to run, they give it to Radlin. He still picked up the yard.
And he got 5 yards there, slightly shaken up, so he's on the sideline for the moment. It'll be second down, actually 4 yards to go for a Tiger Cat first down. Play action fake by Gonzalez, looking deep down the near side, and he ran his receiver right out of bounds. Intending that for Ray Thomas.
But a good example of what Ron Lancaster was saying about Pete Gonzalez, and that is that he loves the deep ball, and he will take his shots at the deep ball even if there's coverage downfield. Ray Thomas was well covered down there by Anthony Marlborough, and he threw the ball anyway. He wants to take some shots down the field.
So Osbaldiston is in. Good on 16 of 28, hitting on just 57%. He has played through injuries and missed a couple of games as a result of those injuries this season. From 45, he's wide left this time. So Osbaldiston misses his first crack at it. This is Hunden out across the 5 to about the 8-yard line, and penalty markers are down. So is a Tiger Cat defender. It's Wendy's Friday Night Football from McMahon in Calgary. Kevin Federick gets another chance at the controls of his father's football team. He won his first start on the season. Since then, Federick has had some problems putting points on the scoreboard.
Well, and I don't know if there's a backup quarterback in the history of the game that have been scrutinized and criticized more than Kevin Federick, and really not his fault. But what he has to do is to silence the critics, is to prove he can throw the deep ball. And that's been the question for Kevin Federick all year long. Does he have the arm strength to be a starting quarterback? Because he does have a lot of the other characteristics you need. He has some toughness. He can move around in the pocket. He's got
he had
pretty
success
good
at BYU. Arm strength is the key question for Kevin Federick. Stampeders begin at the 2-yard line, and flags go down here immediately as Lawrence Phillips gets his first carry of the ball game. The Stampeders feel they have found some quality receivers up front in Darnell McDonald and James Hunden, who they picked up from Toronto. Speedster Wayne McGarity misses this one tonight. Up front, Jay McNeil and Jamie Crysdale are the mainstays of Calgary's offensive line. Crysdale plays his 184th consecutive game tonight. Starting lineups are brought to you by Tums. Tums tackles heartburn fast.
Lawrence Phillips had some problems getting back into the country. It was an error by the customs people down in the States. It took him a while to get back in.
Then he had food poisoning this week. This is 1st and 5. The Tiger Cats were offside, and Federick is good on his first pass to Donnie Blair, making the catch.
Defense for the Hamilton Tiger Cats get in the front 7. Sean Woodson in the linebacking core back. Dave Thomas starts at middle linebacker. Marcus Spencer at the outside. Rob Hitchcock back in this lineup after missing most of the season with a broken arm, and certainly need his leadership from the middle of that defensive secondary.
Well, to start the season without Hitchcock at safety and without Danny McManus at quarterback, the Tiger Cats were in a hole. And when you looked around at the players that were already missing from the lineup because of retirement and free agency, the Tiger Cats really didn't have much of a chance at the beginning of this season.
Your quarterback on offense, your quarterback on defense.
Yeah, and that makes it really tough. I mean, the Tiger Cats and Lancaster in particular have not used that as an excuse, but it's definitely there when you look at it. So the penalty sorted out. It'll be 1st down and 9. The Stampeders begin at the 3, and Federick goes to the same area. Another flag flies.
Love the spin move by Darnell McDonald on the outside. Boy, he really set this one up by a good hard move into the middle, and then just a nice jab step and flips back to the outside. What a great move by Darnell McDonald. Watch him right on the outside here. He's going to come in, a good stab step, and then spin to the outside. Watch this little Pitch pass. Here comes that. There's the plant, and to the outside on Diedrich Mathis, and he has gone down that sideline.
And this is going to stand. The penalty is against the Tiger Cats.
Well, that's a pretty move from Darnell McDonald.
Net 57 yards after a 41-yard pass and run play from Federick to Darnell McDonald. So quickly, the Stampeders establish field position with roughing the passer tacked on against the Tiger Cats. Lawrence Phillips, he's got 3.
Inside for 3. Number 91, John
Just take a look at why the Ticats had some yardage added on after Federick got that ball out there to Darnell McDonald. John McDonald puts his helmet right under the chin of Kevin Federick, and that's where the penalty flag was thrown, so the yardage added on.
It is a gain of 3 for Lawrence Phillips. 2nd and 7 for Federick. Another open target, another first down here. Don Blair has a couple of catches early. That was Troy Saunders over to make the tackle on Blair.
Well, and that's a good read from Kevin Federick and a pretty good throw. He sees linebacker pressure, and Don Blair is going to also read it. It's up to Blair to go into that open spot. When the linebackers vacate and go up like Dave Thomas did, the opening is in behind those linebackers. Blair gets there, Federick gets him the football.
And a 25-yard gain sets the Stampeders up at the Tiger Cat 22-yard line. Opening drive for Calgary here has been most successful. Lawrence Phillips. It's another opportunity slowed down by Marcus Spencer.
And this has been a bit of a juggling act for Ron Lancaster in the linebacking core. Marcus Spencer's in there. He's played off and on the roster and in the lineup, in the starting lineup. They lost Sean Woodson to a hamstring injury for 3 weeks. Chris Bain has played there. They put Dave Thomas in there. They lost Chris Schelling early. So it's been a juggling act for the Ticats in the linebacking core.
And the good news for Hamilton tonight is Sean Woodson is back after that hamstring injury and in the lineup for his first game. 3 receivers near side. Federick on 2nd down. Looks to the corner. Peterson was the closest Stampeder to the football. And so this drive will end with a field goal attempt from Duncan O'Mahony.
Well, Kevin Federick brought in protection. He held his back Lawrence Phillips in there to help with the protection on the blitz, and really only had the one target. That was Kamal Peterson down the field, and Peterson was well covered, so Federick threw it where only his receiver could have a chance, and if not, it's incomplete.
O'Mahony good on only 25% of his field goal tries since taking over from the new team president, Mark McLaughlin. This from 25 yards. It's down and it's up, so O'Mahony has the first points of the night. Pretty successful drive for the Calgary Stampeders there to open a 3-0 advantage on Hamilton. John Wells, Glenn Suter upstairs, Jermaine Franklin at the Stampeder bench, and Russ Peak is down there covering the Tiger Cats. Russ?
Coach Lancaster says don't be fooled by the record. There's still plenty to play for, collectively and individually. Running back Troy Davis needs 114 yards, took over 1,000 yards for a second straight season. He was 3rd in the league last year with better than 1,100 yards for the Ticats. Off to a pretty good start, too, on that first drive with 2 positive carries.
And here's the Stampeder kickoff, rolling out near the 10-yard line. Procedure call will go against the Stampeders, and the Tiger Cats will have the opportunity here to begin in great field position out at the 45.
Well, and a successful night from Troy Davis means Pete Gonzalez will have a lot of the pressure taken off of his shoulders. And Troy Davis coming in 114 yards away from 1,000 on the season. There's your leaders, Mike Pringle. Just love the way he plays football. He's leading the way. And Charles Roberts, that's been quite a race between those two. And Troy Davis is right there.
Davis has been effective in the last few games. 12 carries, make that 17 carries for 91 yards last week in a losing cause. So he's running well at this point for Hamilton. From the shotgun, it's Gonzalez looking down the far side, and he missed his target. Looking for Hodge.
Well, and the other thing, when you talk about Troy Davis and his turnaround throughout the second half of this season, you start to wonder if his brother Darren being released in Ottawa is sort of a wake-up call, you know, and just one of those reminders that Your time in this game can be fleeting, and you have to take full advantage of it when you have a chance to play. And Troy Davis certainly has turned around his season and has for the last 8 games.
2nd and 10 for Gonzalez. And the Tiger Cats a little swing pass. Radlin makes a nice spin move to get away, and that's what we were talking about. The future of this kid, number 33.
Well, he showed you a little of both, Johnny. He showed you some pretty good feet coming out of the backfield to avoid the first tackle. I believe it was Anthony Marlborough. Here he is in the backfield. He's going to be the swing man out to the left. And Gonzalez reads blitz, drops it off to him. Watch the little move right there. Spin move back to the inside on Anthony Marlborough. And that's a nice hit as he becomes the hammer, not the nail.
Gonzalez is moving the Tiger Cats effectively. 14-yard gain on the play to Radlin there. Hamilton near the 50. On the ground again, it's Davis. And better than halfway to a first down stop by Kelly Malvo.
Hamilton Tiger Cats are finding some success running the football. That bodes well for Ron Lancaster's football team. They come into the game last in the league, averaging just 73 yards rushing, but really that number was influenced early on because they really had no success in the first 5-6 games running the ball, and they certainly have over the last 8.
Gonzalez sends 2 receivers to the far side of the field. Keeps it on the ground to Davis. He'll have the first down on 2nd and a couple.
You know what Troy Davis does so well is when he hits the hole and makes those little moves, he's still moving forward, and he's still able to just change gears and be at the same speed. That's the difference between a great running back and just a good running back. Because if you make that move in the hole, if you slow down, that's when you can get corralled by that defense. If you can keep moving forward like Troy Davis does, you become a great one.
And he's averaging almost 5 yards a carry, 4.9. 4 yards in the previous carry. This is 2nd and 6. Gonzalez looking deep, and he's having a little trouble along the sideline with passes there. Closest receiver was Tony Akins, and it was well over his head and out of bounds.
Well, yeah, and he threw into his zone defense, and the defense from the Calgary Stampeders was basically 3 deep along the back end. So the defensive backs had 3 guys covering a third of the field, and it was Kelly Malvo, I believe, on the outside third that was right there on Tony Akins. And Gonzalez once again takes a shot at it.
You talked about his tendency to look deep. 2nd and 10. This one is batted down right at the line. A hard charge by the Stampeders, and Gonzalez heads to the sideline.
Yeah, and it was coming from a linebacker who doesn't get to play a whole lot, and that's from the outside. It was Terrence Carroll, a rookie with the Calgary Stampeders, number 17, who's going to fly around the corner, and he's going to come around here, and watch the speed that he gets there. Comes around number 17, and see Radlin picks him up right there, but he forces a quick throw, and that's knocked down right at the line of scrimmage by Ellis.
Osbaldiston missed his first try. This from 46. He was wide left with his first, and he's got this one to tie it all up. So the Tiger Cats have driven to get even at the Stampeder bench.
Thanks, John. Calgary's streak of 33 straight home games with 30,000 or more in attendance was broken a couple of weeks ago when they hosted the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. But the good news is they can start a new streak tonight, as they had 29,000 pre-sold tickets and well over 30,000 in attendance. Not bad for a team that struggled for a couple of years.
Calgary fans not turning their backs on the Stampeders. There's no question about that. Here's the return out across the 35.
Well, and Jim Barker talked about that yesterday in the press conference, and he talked about how he addressed his football team all week, and he appealed to the pride side, and he said, guys, this community hasn't turned its back on us, and let's go out and do something to show them that we appreciate it.
Saladin McCullough returning the kickoff from the Tiger Cats. He is not the starting running back tonight, and it's a bit strange when you look at what he was able to do last week. 161 yards, 2 touchdowns on 19 carries. And he was named the Offensive Player of the Week, but he's not the starting running back for Calgary here tonight. This guy is It's Lawrence Phillips, and that's his best run of the evening. Plenty for a first down as he's brought down by safety Rob Hitchcock.
Well, and when Lawrence Phillips really goes north-south with the football, he can be effective. He's danced around when he's been back there a bunch this season, and it's affected his average. But when he hits the hole hard like he did right there, he's a darn good running back. But it's a good point, John. Saladin McCullough at 161 yards a week ago. You wonder why he's not starting tonight.
Phillips gets the first down. Here's Federick. Rolling to his left, decides to take off, beats Cheatwood there. We talked about the toughness of this kid, and he'll likely get the first down. Dave Thomas and Saunders in on the tackle.
Well, it's a pretty nice fake, to play action fake to Lawrence Phillips in the backfield. And Phillips is going to really sell this to the backside. Go ahead and run it, guys. And here's how he does it. See that fake, and he keeps his arms bent over and like he has the football. That gives Federick some time out there. He beats Cheatwood, breaks that tackle, and takes a pretty hard hit after picking up the first down.
An 11-yard gain for Federick. Stampeders have rolled all the way out to the Tiger Cat 50. Another hole opens up for Lawrence Phillips, and he'll be very close to a first down. Spot is important here. Thomas again on the tackle.
There, John, Saladin McCullough was in the lineup, and he lines up as a receiver and comes around on a reverse to give the Calgary Stampeders another look. And what Saladin McCullough will do is he'll be the fake, the decoy here. He's going to come around the back from the left of your screen, and then Lawrence Phillips goes right here. So this opens up the playbook a little bit. Now the next stage is to give the ball to Saladin McCullough and fake it to Phillips in the middle.
This is a second down situation, just a yard necessary, and Phillips hits the hole well again. The Tiger Cats were waiting, but he'll get his necessary yardage to move the sticks one more time.
Well, and the other thing with McCullough is the Calgary Stampeders this year have only 3 times been over 100 yards rushing, and they've got it from Saladin McCullough against Hamilton Tiger Cats. In his debut as a Calgary Stampeder, he had over 100. And you talked about the 161 he had last week versus the Ottawa Renegades.
Stampeders are 3-1 on the season when they outrush the opposition. Lawrence Phillips again, and this time he'll be stopped short of the first down. Sean Woodson making his return to the Tiger Cat lineup in on the tackle there.
Well, and if there's some way that Jim Barker can keep both Phillips and Saladin McCullough happy the rest of the way and possibly play them together. Now that takes a little bit of juggling with the Canadian ratio, but if he can do it and keep him in the backfield, it might be a nice 1-2 punch for the Stamps.
Phillips is off to a good start tonight, as good a start as we've seen from him this season, averaging 6 yards a carry. Up in the air, batted away at the last second on a fine defensive play by Diedrich Mathis.
Kevin Federick trying to throw the fade down the sideline to Darnell McDonald. And you're right, Diedrich Mathis is step for step. There's the matchup, and look at Mathis. He comes right up and plays press coverage. That's bump and run coverage, folks, right on the line of scrimmage, and that's basically saying, you don't have the speed to run by me, Darnell McDonald. I'm just going to stay right in your hip pocket.
Critical knockdown as Yeast drops into the end zone. And O'Mani lines up for his second field goal attempt of the night. This one is wide, so the field goal kickers remain even, and Yeast appears ready to give up the single points. Finally, he runs out the side door. So the Stampeders trail by a point. Advantage on the Tiger Cats, who begin this drive at the 35. Gonzalez near side. He has Akins, and Akins will have the first down. William Fields making the tackle there. CFL Traditions continues on the Sports Network on Sunday, 7 o'clock Eastern. It's the history of the CFL, and I hope you've enjoyed the series. The Argonauts are in focus this Sunday, 7 Eastern. Argonauts have a big game against Ottawa, hosting the Renegades tomorrow. As the playoff race in the East heats up now. Davis breaks one tackle, and that should be the final play of the opening quarter as Davis is stopped short of the first down with the Stampeders on top of the Tiger Cats, 4-3.
For 3 after 1 quarter of play, and you know, we talked about Julian Radlin among other players in the pregame show. Boy, he looks great for a young player, doesn't he? But we want to talk about the quarterbacks right off the bat. What were you saying about Kevin Federick?
Okay, let's take a look at Kevin Federick, because he throws a great 5-yard pass, 10-yard pass, 15-yard pass. But I think anytime he gets past that, he has problems with his accuracy. He had an opportunity in the end zone to hit the receiver in stride and get a touchdown. He wasn't able to do it. Watch here, out of the shotgun. He's completed some passes before, but if he continued to throw that to the upfield shoulder of that player, he would have had a touchdown to Peterson. Now, Peterson did not make the best kind of effort. Matt, I don't know if you agree, but I thought it was a poor throw.
Oh, come on, man.
I'm serious.
That guy was double covered, high over the top and underneath.
Ricky Ray would have made that throw.
No, that throw's
Ricky Ray
coming
lover.
back. If it's
I
not,
am a Ricky Ray lover.
Schultz, that throw's coming back if Kevin Federick throws that ball where you wanted him to throw, because Hitchcock is over the top and Mathis is underneath. I don't think that's happening there. I'll tell you this, what I do like and what I'm seeing from both clubs is the ability to run the football. And here we see Troy Davis, the 3rd leading rush in the league. This is typical Davis. Nothing doing there, then he bounces around like a ball of hate. Kind of like our man Josh Ronick
that
over
name's taken.
Sorry.
Ronick is the ball of
We
hate.
got to get one for that guy.
There's only one ball of hate, and it's Ronick.
We got to get one for Troy Davis, but I like the fact that these guys are sticking to the running game, trying to help those young quarterbacks out.
Well, one thing that's not working out for both football team is the kickers. Now, Schultz, I know
I'm not saying a thing.
kickers is normally
I'm
your
not saying a
domain,
thing.
but let me just wade into a little bit here. You know, we've got Duncan O'Mahony, first of all. I mean, tough position, having to suddenly take on the field goal kicking duties in the middle of the season. But this guy is not a field goal kicker, and that's been pretty clear. It's not just it's not just the fact that he misses, it's the way he misses. He shanks them all the time. And Paulus Paulison, this is a guy that they might have to look at putting out to pasture.
Well, so far it has been the battle of the kickers. Let's see what the second quarter has in store. Let's send you back to John and Glenn. Guys?
It's another Fritos Fandemonium night in the CFL. Some lucky fan and likely a little wacky fan will win a trip for 2 to the Grey Cup in Regina before we're done here at McMahon tonight.
Yeah, see this guy. They look like brothers, and the one brother, see, that's permanent ink. He hasn't told him yet.
You got to work at this to be a Fritos Fandemonium winner. And
he said, "Really, Johnny? I'll just color it. You can wash it right off after the game." And he's just snickering all the way until Mom
sucked him in
finds out.
big time. And on the field, it was Gonzalez missing by a mile on the out on the far side. So quickly, 2 and out for the Tiger Cats as Jason Curry steps in for the first time, averaging 40.9 yards per punt for a net of 34.4. Young kicker out of St. Mary's, Hamilton product. A one-hopper, flags are down, and there's nowhere to run as the Ticats have James Hunden all wrapped up, and Federick gets another chance when we return.
Necessarily have to have your face painted to win.
It might help,
but it helps, yeah. Both quarterbacks, Kevin Federick and Pete Gonzalez for the Hamilton Tiger Cats, moved the ball a little bit between the 30s, the middle of the field, but they had problems finishing drives as they got into scoring territory.
Stampeders on first down. It's Lawrence Phillips again around the left side effectively, and that's Lawrence Phillips at his best so far this season. We've seen it all here tonight. Finally ran into Rob Hitchcock, but Phillips has broken a couple of big ones this evening.
Yeah, and I love what he did at the end of the play. As he bounced to the outside, he kind of tightrope walks down that sideline, and then rather than just step out, as Rob Hitchcock comes to put the hit on him, he leans into Hitchcock and actually gets the best of that hit on Rob Hitchcock, who he'll bring the leather all the time.
16 yards for Lawrence Phillips, and quickly the Stampeders are out across the 40-yard line, leading by a point. Federick to the far side. This is Peterson making the catch, and this is Peterson dropped in his tracks at about the 49. Courtney Young making the tackle there.
First drive of the game, the Hamilton Tiger Cats came with some pressure. They blitzed Dave Thomas a bunch on Kevin Federick, and the idea there was see if you can rattle the young quarterback and force him into a mistake. And Federick did a nice job of reading it. Hit Don Blair on that nice pickup in the first series. Since then now, the Ticats have backed off, and they're trying to make Federick be a little more patient down the field.
James Hunden to the near side on second down. And this will be plenty from Lawrence Phillips. Dropped at the 55, so he's right at midfield with another 6 yards there. Marcus Spencer putting the stop on Phillips, who was out yesterday with food poisoning, and they weren't so sure that he would be completely recovered and be able to play tonight, but give him some more of that same kind of food.
Yeah, he's up to a pretty good
part
start.
of the game plan.
Yeah, players have a tendency to do that once they have a good game and try and do everything the exact same that week. Do it the rest of the way. I don't know if Phillips wants to do that.
Whistle down at the line. Apparently some distraction away from the play. No penalty flags have been dropped.
No.
So 12:46 to go till halftime, and a close one so far. The kickers have accounted for the scoring. Both have made one and missed one in the field goal department. As a result, Calgary with the single point has the 4-3 advantage on the Tiger Cats.
Well, we have a big one coming up on Sunday, don't we?
Ooh, the two best quarterbacks in the CFL head-to-head at Molson Stadium in Montreal. It's Ricky Ray against Anthony Calvillo.
And there's still a question as to whether or not Ricky Ray will actually play. He's been a little banged up, they're saying, so it may be Jason Moss, but either way, two good football teams going head-to-head.
I think it's going to be tough to keep Ricky Ray out if he's even close, right? I mean, this is what you're looking at right now, the Grey Cup preview. I mean, the two best teams in the league as it stands at this moment. Edmonton at Montreal Sunday on the Sports Network. Right at midfield.
Well, you know, Winnipeg,
That's McCullough.
Saskatchewan, BC, they all still have something to say about who's in the Grey Cup game.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying what we have is the best bet, the two first-place teams.
You're absolutely right. It's two top records in the West and the East and two good football teams, and they want to establish something physically on Sunday. It'll be a good game to watch.
See, you're just riding the fence there a little bit. All I'm saying is Montreal is 12-2. That's the best in the East, right? Yeah. Edmonton 10-4. That's the best in the West for this week. Federick gets it out for Kamau Peterson. A little stutter step there. And he might have turned this into a first down or very close to it. Maybe a little bit shy as Sean Woodson got up to make the tackle.
And from Jim Barker right now offensively for the Calgary Stampeders, this is the type of game plan that suits Kevin Federick. The quick passing game, a lot of hit screens to the outside, not long throws, high percentage throws. He does have a good completion percentage coming into this game at around 62%. So why force him into a weakness, which is the deep ball? Play to his strengths. Kevin Federick can move around in that pocket well. He throws a quick game quite effectively, so why not continue to do that and run the football?
Fourth career start for Kevin Federick. He's hitting on 67% of his passes so far this evening. And the running game has gone well until there on third down and a yard to go. And they haven't got the first down.
Rob Hitchcock, in situations like this, will step up from the safety position and get into the box. The box is the tackle, about 3 yards each side of the line of scrimmage, and he gets right up in there to help. And remember, Lawrence Phillips early in the game leaned into him. That time, Rob Hitchcock got Phillips.
It's another Wendy's Friday night at McMahon Stadium in Calgary. Pride is on the line in this one tonight, and the Tiger Cats showing a little of that right there. He's got a ways to go. He's +2, Tiger -7. Gonzalez missed, looking for Chad Plummer, one of the new receivers in this Tiger Cat core. And Lancaster is quick to point out that the receiving core was well below standard at the outset of this season.
Well, it was, and when you look at Damon Hodge, number 88, and Chad Plummer, 83, he's got a couple of what he calls, again, the keepers in there. Damon Hodge, in his first game with the Hamilton Tiger Cats versus Saskatchewan, had over 100 yards receiving and 6 catches. And the last 2 weeks, Chad Plummer has had over 100 yards for Hamilton.
Ticats look at 2nd and 10. Gonzalez looks cool back there momentarily, but then Joe Fleming comes through. He leads the CFL in sacks and add one more to his total, make it 11.
Well, and again, blitzes they always work together, and Joe Fleming, he benefits from the blitz from Terrence Carroll again. Now, Carroll's going to be up here at the top of your screen, number 17. He goes high. Pete Gonzalez feels him, has to step up, and when he does, he steps right into the arms of Demetrius Maxey and Joe Fleming. See who gets credit for that one, but if it's Fleming, it's 11 on the season.
Curry is in. Hunden is back.
Got a piece
Put
of
a
it.
charge on the rookie kicker. And that one is deflected out near the 50-yard line.
The 2004 SI sedan has arrived. Get in.
Stampeders got a piece of Curry's punch, and as a result, it only traveled 15 yards. So Calgary begins at midfield. McCullough, and that was well read. He'll lose 5.
This is the type of play. Remember, we saw earlier where this formation with Saladin McCullough on the outside, like starting out as a receiver, and Lawrence Phillips up the middle. And went to Phillips up the middle. They had a little success with it, 5-6 yards. That time they tried to go with McCullough on the outside, and Woodson, boy, he saw that one coming.
2 Ticats were waiting.
Oh, yeah, that had no chance.
17.
On 2nd and long, Federick stands in, goes to the far side of the field. Almost connecting with Kamau Peterson.
Well, that was
Didn't miss by much, really.
It didn't. It was actually right in the perfect spot from Kevin Federick, and it was a long throw. We talked about him wanting to silence the critics. A long throw to the outside, right in the corner up here, and really Federick puts it right in the only spot he could have. In behind coverage, pushes Kamau Peterson to the sideline, and somehow he doesn't come up with that catch. You can't fault the quarterback for that one.
So quickly, Stampeders forced to a punting situation as O'Mani moves back to his 35. And deep for the Tiger Cats, Craig Yeast.
See how the Calgary Stampeders are pointing at the line of scrimmage. That means they're man protection, and they're trying to point. You see right there, Dybert is pointing. Make sure they all pick up those punt rushers.
High and up, well short. The kickers are having their problems here. That'll be decent field position for the Tiger Cats when we return. Joe Fleming, a force again tonight for the Stampeders. Hard to believe where they might be without him in the lineup this season, but he knows it's been a tough year in Calgary.
Right now, you know, we still have a shot, but you know, we let one slip away last week, and we didn't come up with the win that we needed. So now we've dug our own hole. But right now we're playing for pride. We're playing for you know, the fans in this city, and to represent yourself as a professional athlete. And you know, we do have that opportunity, but whatever happens, we're going to go out there and play hard and play with a lot of character.
Well, we talked about it at the outset. Win tonight, run the table, and there's still hope. We're saying there's still a chance.
And if you have a wagon and you need a horse to hitch it to start building something, hitch it to Joe Fleming, because he can carry it. He's one of those building blocks.
First down for the Tiger Cats. They were penalized on the return. Gonzalez went to the far side, and there was tight coverage over there on his intended target, Archie Amerson, who hasn't had his hands on the ball in a meaningful way so far tonight.
And just to go back to Joe Fleming, and what I'm talking about is building foundation. This is the type of effort. Now, he's blocked well here by Dave Hack, but this is the type of effort that you get from Joe Fleming on every play. You see it, and you see how he comes off the ball, keeps those legs driving, drives Dave Hack back. Now, he didn't get the sack that time. The ball was thrown. But that's the type of effort you see from Joe Fleming on every play.
Took a year off. This is his 7th season in the CFL. 2nd and 10 Tiger Cats. Gonzalez stands in, and he's got Craig Yeast. He's got a first down at the 40.
Well, I don't know how Pete Gonzalez got that football into Craig Yeast. Anthony Marlborough was right there, and that ball just flashed right in front of him. Gonzalez going to throw in this direction, and he just threads the needle. Look how close 2-6 was to that football, and that ends up right in the hands of Craig Yeast, who primarily has played on special teams with the Ticats, but does get a chance every now and then to play out there at that wide receiver spot.
Net result, a 17-yard gain. This snap there, Gonzalez gets it on one hop. He'll get a chance to fire it anyway. Hodge has the ball.
Okay, right now.
Hang on a second here.
Well, Pete Gonzalez, the footballs he's throwing now have eyes. Is that one?
How did that one get there?
And he can't even believe it. Look at Gonzalez with the big smile. What's going to happen is Damon Hodge on the outside here after the bounce. He's right on the sideline. That pump fake pushed Hodge down the field. And again, look at all the red jerseys. Davis Sanchez is right there. And somehow Hodge comes up with a catch.
We had no chance to see that from our vantage point here. But as a result, it's a 14-yard Tiger Cat game. They'll put that play in the book after that. Davis with a flag down before he turned the corner.
Like there was some sort of movement on the outside, and Joe Fleming got either a very quick start. He's working again on Dave Hack in that one-on-one, and either procedure and Hack flinched or offside, and Joe Fleming flinched.
Offside. Calgary 76. Penalty is declined.
You got
First
it.
down.
It's a nice matchup. Two veterans. Joe Fleming, you mentioned, took a year off, never takes a playoff. And Dave Hack, veteran of 7 years for the Hamilton Tiger Cats, all 7 in Steel Town, and he's sort of epitomizes his football team and their toughness, and that's a good battle to watch tonight.
Tiger Cats at the 45 with a first down. Touchdowns tonight. Here's Davis. He's run well for Hamilton again this evening.
You see that acceleration when he changed speeds and changed direction in behind the line of scrimmage, and then he can burst through that hole. That's that quickness I'm talking about, the foot speed. People used to talk about in basketball how Michael Jordan had that tremendous first step with the basketball. And watch how Troy Davis takes his football, little bounce step there, and then that acceleration, the burst right through the hole. Tremendous foot speed from Troy Davis.
For a 9-yard gain. Average looks impressive tonight. Gonzalez takes it out, fires to the far side, and he'll get a first down on a bit of a free play for the Tiger Cats there. It was 2nd and 1, and he goes to
Tony Akins on the outside.
Akins.
Yeah, and Akins, you know, this is a good example of why receivers should never give up on their route. Pete Gonzalez, Akins is going to run the out here. Now, Pete Gonzalez, this play is designed to go shovel pass to Troy Davis, who's going to come underneath, but Davis is caught in the mix a little bit, and Akins keeps working on the outside to give him an outlet.
10-yard gain, and the Tiger Cats threatening to hit the end zone for the first time inside the 30. A little low. He might have hurried that a bit for Damon Hodge.
William Fields
was waiting.
He picks up the football thinking that may have been called a lateral and therefore would have been a fumble. He picked it up and scooped it, but the whistle blew.
Definitely a forward pass.
Well, Gonzalez was standing basically on the 30-yard line. You see that yard line he's standing on the outside and just in front of that yard line, but only by a step. Damon Hodge.
3 receivers in motion to the right side. Gonzalez has to hurry, and no one was home. He had to throw it away. The charge was coming, so Gonzalez had to unload. Field goal time for the Tiger Cats again.
Antoine Young providing pressure off the edge, and Pete Gonzalez had to try and get this football across the line of scrimmage. Not really a receiver anywhere near him, and according to the rules, if he gets it across the line of scrimmage, no intentional grounding will be called. But it was everything he could do to get it there.
Jason Curry will put it down for Paul Osbaldiston. 34-yard try here. Ozzie 1 for 2 tonight. Now he's 2 for 3, and the Tiger Cats have the lead at 6-4.
Hamilton 6, Calgary Stampeders 4.
Wendy's Friday Night Football. Ron Lancaster in his longest season so far, and he began way back in 1960 in the CFL as a quarterback with the Ottawa Rough Riders. So far, just 1 win in 14 games for the Tiger Cats.
Well, and Danny McManus, who did not start in this game, of course, everyone wondering what his future holds.
And
New
the
owners.
Future of the team might be a little clearer come Tuesday. Canadian Football League Commissioner Tom Wright has scheduled a news conference for Hamilton on Tuesday. New ownership,
You know, and
will be announced, as we understand it.
When you look at the new ownership and you look at the numbers that Danny McManus has accumulated over his career, 3 Grey Cup championships, and you think about what he's done, you've got to give Danny McManus a look with all the tools around him. Fill up his toolbox and let him go into training camp and be evaluated based on that. It's a very difficult situation. McManus was hurt. Ron Lancaster didn't have him to start the season. Was hurt in the preseason and then didn't have a receiving core to help him much. And it really has reflected the numbers for Danny McManus.
Here's the Tiger Cat kickoff. You're absolutely correct about that. Out across the 30. And flags are down on this return by James Hunden, who was tripped up crossing the 35.
One of the Calgary Stampeders' big win this year was on Labor Day here in Calgary, and James Hunden on a return really sparked that victory. Late addition to the Calgary Stampeders. They've had some injury problems in the receiving core, and you know, when you look at this core when they're healthy across the board, James Hunden a late addition, but with Darnell McDonald healthy and
Wayne McGarity as a 6th receiver guy who's out of this one tonight.
Yeah, who's not in the lineup. Albert
Offside.
Connell, who's been injured and out
Hamilton
all
number
season.
4. Holding. Calgary 17. Re-kick.
Might as well. 1 penalty going each way. Let's kick it again.
And Jim Barker, if he can get all those guys healthy and playing together, he really likes his receiving core, and including James Hunden. But that is a big question mark. You know, players have to somehow stay on the field. I know injuries aren't always their fault, and sometimes you can be real unfortunate in the injury department, but if you can't keep yourself out of the tub, it's tough to make the club.
Who said that the first time around?
I don't know.
Was that you or was that Ivan?
It was a trainer in Saskatchewan, and boy, I jumped out of that hot, cold tub in a hurry, didn't I?
You were out of there in a flash. You had a fortunate career, though. I mean, in the injury department, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah. Very, very fortunate.
McCullough this time breaks one, breaks a couple. He stumbled at about the 42-yard line after a couple of fine maneuvers down there for a 25-yard return.
And it was a pretty spectacular 25-yard return from Saladin McCullough. I think he just ran out of, he was running so many moves that his feet just couldn't keep up. There's one move there. Look at this one. Watch open field, bam, jab step there, and he just won too many moves, and his feet just couldn't keep up with him.
Yeah, he had it up here, but it wasn't transmitting down there to the field, and he lost his footing.
Boom, right there. That's a great one.
25-yard return. Look where the Stampeders begin. Out at the 45 for Kevin Federick. Federick looks one way, avoids the rush, doesn't avoid the tackle there.
Boy, I love that Saladin McCullough jab step that he has. I mean, you saw it there, and then last week when he had 161 yards, did he ever put a nice move on Kelly Wilshire? I mean, Kelly Wilshire, one of the best tacklers in the Canadian Football League, and he left them standing right there. Look at number 1. Whoa! Nice jab step, good dead leg move, and back to the outside for Saladin McCullough, and we saw it again tonight in that return.
1 sack each way. Sean Woodson gets credit for that one. 2nd down, 11 to go. Federick looking deep. Looking for Peterson. He's got him. Broke 1 tackle. He's inside the 25. Down to about the 21. Best throw of the night. Brandon Hamilton saved the touchdown.
Rob Hitchcock was right there on Kamau Peterson, but Kevin Federick, give him credit, folks. He put that one on the corner pattern. It's a long throw to Kamau Peterson. up over his shoulder, and he drops it in the bucket. Look at 42 right there. So Kevin Federick has to throw that ball up over Rob Hitchcock and drop it into the Kamal Peterson's hands, and he does a nice job of it.
42-yard gain on the combination. Federick to Peterson. First down, Stampeders just inside the Ticat 25. On the ground, Lawrence Phillips broke one tackle, drags the Ticat for about 3 yards, and he's inside the 10.
Balance in the attack right now.
Tim Cheatwood made the stop.
A throw from Kevin Federick that should give him some confidence with that deep ball. Go right back to Lawrence Phillips on the next play and maintain balance in your offense. That's a nice balanced attack from Jim Barker. He's got his play sheet right there, and he's looking at the run column, and then he's going back to the pass column.
16-yard gain, first and goal to go. Stampeders from here.
Got him.
Federick, touchdown. Scott Regenbald gets his hands on the ball for the touchdown for Calgary.
Oh, the beauty of a running game.
He froze them. Little play action fake. And Federick finds Regenbald.
The beauty of a successful running game. Lawrence Phillips is the fake. He's the play action man right up the middle. Little handoff. That froze everybody, including Rob Hitchcock, back in the back end. And Regenbald wide open in the red paint.
An 8-yard scoring play to Scott Regenbald. 3 minutes till halftime, and this is what the Stampeders have been telling us about. This is what Calgary has been looking for, and in particular, what number 7 has been hoping.
Receiver, but
here's Craig Yeast returning for the Tiger Cats, and he's run out on the far side by Danny Derricott.
Well, the key for Scott Regenbald on this touchdown is to sell it. He's got to become a good salesman because he lines up as a tight end right here, and Dietrich Mathis right here's got to cover him. And what he does is he goes thinking it's a running play, and Regenbald sneaks in behind him. You can see how he goes like he's going to block there, rips through that block, gets wide open in behind coverage in that red paint area, Calgary Stampeder end zone. Pretty good drive from Kevin Federick. 4 plays. We saw a little bit of Lawrence Phillips in there. That nice throw to Kamal Peterson and finish it off with play action.
And Phillips 10 carries, 74 yards so far this evening. And there's still time to go in the opening half. So this is his best half.
Game better than 9.5.
Those big fullbacks love to get that touchdown every now and then. I mean, they are in the trenches blocking and protecting the quarterback all game long. No one really talks about them, and then every now and then they get a chance for some fun and to do their touchdown dance. Now, I don't think Regenbald really has a dance.
Well, he hasn't worked on it yet, but he likely will
now
this week.
Now he's involved, yeah.
Stampeders 11, Ticats 6, 2:41 to go in the opening half. Yeast with a better return here. Right off the field at midfield at about the 55. Kelly Malvo forced him out there. So the Tiger Cats were looking for a penalty on this return of 35 yards by Craig Yeast.
See right in the middle of your screen right there, George White, really the only guy who has a chance at him, and Yeast outruns that angle on White, and then they wanted the face mask from Kelly Malvo right there. You see how he's got the right hand on it?
Let go.
He let go, and the officials were in behind, didn't see it. That would have tacked on 15 yards, but there was no flag thrown, so we'll play at center field.
So it's Pete Gonzalez's turn now. Craig Yeast will take a breather. 3 receivers near side for Gonzalez. Hodges missed a couple.
You know, and there's 2 reasons here. You two different quarterbacks playing for different reasons. Kevin Federick due to injury to Marcus Crandall, and this is a coaching decision for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. And I like it. You know, one of the questions that has to be answered is, can Pete Gonzalez play? And that's why Danny McManus has the headset on tonight. Can he play and win a football game from start to finish? And that's why Ron Lancaster made the decision. So then you look at Pete Gonzalez, and it's his turn, completing just under 50% of his passes coming in. Needs to improve on that.
6 of 15 for Gonzalez on this evening, although he's moved the team effectively a couple of times. Looking deep, he likes the long pass and didn't miss by much. Teaming up with Archie Amerson, his intended target there. Malvo covering again.
Well, this play is picture perfect from start until finish, and then at the finish is where it falls apart, because watch the pickup here on the blitz from Troy Davis. You know that blitz coming from Carroll, number 17. He's done it about 4 or 5 times and caused some problems. This time Troy Davis reads it perfectly, steps right up in there and gives Pete Gonzalez all kinds of time. He throws a dart, and at the other end, Amerson can't hang on.
Hundon deep, standing back at the Calgary 10. Stampeders lead by 5, 11-6. Curry had one tipped earlier and got this one away. No chance for a return for Hundon, as Curry aimed it perfectly, and it's out at the 22-yard line.
But Lawrence Phillips having his best game of the season so far tonight. I mean, we haven't played a half of football, and he's already approaching 110 carries, 7 yards, 7.4-yard average, and it is absolutely amazing what a little competition on your football team could do. Saladin McCullough, 161 yards last week, and Lawrence Phillips goes, hang on, I got to turn it up here.
I had food poisoning yesterday, or the day before, I guess technically it was. And I'm going to be back in the lineup one way or the other. So whatever fuel he added, he'll add it again, I'm thinking. Nice fake by Federick. He's got Hundon. And James Hundon steps out after picking up a first down. Talking about Lawrence Phillips, lots of questions about this guy. But when he gets an opportunity and gets a block, pretty effective running back.
When he runs north-south, he's at his best. And getting those shoulders turned down the field, he walks down the sideline, plays aggressively at the point of attack. And because of the success that he's had tonight, Kevin Federick has used play action effectively because the defense has to pay attention to number 11.
And McCullough was part of that touchdown drive. Or I should say Phillips was part of that touchdown drive, and here he is again. Airborne as he hits the turf. Courtney Young in on the stop, and the spot will be important here. They'll be very close to a first down.
Saw the good acceleration there from Lawrence Phillips, and as he cut back against the flow of traffic. And that, first of all, running backs often will do that, cut right back against the flow and try and come around the outside. And if he gets one more block, he can bounce out there. Lawrence Phillips is still running.
At the 45, it is a Stampeder first down. Phillips again, one more time for number 11.
See, and I don't think that Lawrence Phillips has ever let, other than maybe one play that he was caught in the backfield, he has not let the first tackler bring him down. That time it was Spencer, and he just spun out of that tackle. Spencer had him dead to rights about 4 yards earlier, and he just spun right out of the arms of Marcus Spencer. Good running backs won't let the first tackler bring him down.
An 8-yard gain for Phillips, 2nd and 2 for the Stampeders. He's got it again, and this time it'll be a little shy of the first down. We'll see where they spot it. Dave Thomas up to make the tackle there.
See, this is,
and they'll likely get it here.
This, John, is what Regenball has to do. Scott Regenball, play in and play out, will come in as the tight end. Remember, he got the touchdown, but this is normally what Regenball has to do every play. Now, he has to go in there, and then he has to get that, what's called that reach block, get outside and try and hook Tim Cheatwood into the middle. So if you get Lawrence Phillips to bounce that one, he's got the outside sealed.
First down by inches.
And that's why we said they like to have some fun with a touchdown every now and then, because the fullback's job is a thankless one most of the time.
Parker seems upset, but his team is moving the ball.
Well, he was upset. He wanted to get him under the huddle as fast as he could. Not waste time.
Federick looking down the near side. Wonderful catch. Absolutely wonderful by Darnell McDonald. And the pass was right on the money.
35-yard throw for Kevin Federick. He's got some confidence now in that deep ball. What a catch, though, because Dedrick Mathis is in as good a position as you could be in for a defensive back. They're arm fighting, hand fighting down the field. That's okay. Let that go. And a nice catch by Darnell McDonald coming into the game, leading the Calgary Stampeders in yardage.
Spectacular catch coming into the game with a shot at 1,000 yards receiving. Federic swings it out to the far side, and Peterson made the catch, tried to cut back in, and was wrapped up quickly. Brandon Hamilton was there. Marcus Spencer helped out. Kamau Peterson wondering why he couldn't break away from coverage like that.
Well, that ball was a little low, so it took him a while to gather it up, and by then the Hamilton defense had reacted. And Jim Barker wanted to save as much time. That's why he was up and down that sideline and quite upset. He wanted to get Kevin Federic out of the huddle as quickly as he could and save valuable seconds. As Marcus Crandall, you see him right there helping his coach out in street clothes.
Lots to talk about at the half, and we're 41 seconds away from the panel. Back at football control, Stampeders threatening to add to a 5-point advantage here. Second and 10. Inside the 20. Andre Arlane's first catch of the game.
Well, this will be...
Well, he's got 3 yards for a first down, at least 2.5, so
and
take your 3, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I was going to say early in the year, Jim Barker decided a couple of times in this situation to play aggressively and gamble a few times. You think back to the first game of the season, a very close loss to the Montreal Alouettes. And this one, he plays it more conservatively and makes, I think, the right decision. Take the 3 points.
And he's definitely in range. O'Mani has made one tonight. This from the 25, and flag goes down before O'Mani gets his opportunity to kick with 16 seconds on the clock. O'Mani 25% on the season, 50% on this evening. And he'll have a little opportunity here to think about this.
Calgary 97. 3rd down repeated.
Well, he has more time to think about it, and he has 5 more yards to add on to the length of the kick, or 10 more yards, I should say, to the length of the kick for the time count.
It'll be spotted right on the 35. O'Mani good on 1 of 2. He made a 25-yarder. And he's way wide on this one. So the time count violation hurts the Stampeders there. They'll take 1 more point. But that's 2 misses, a couple of singles for O'Mani tonight.
Yeah, and that kick was just ugly. That one, you can't sugarcoat that baby. You need a lot of sugar, because that was just ugly. He jumped at the football. He thought about it too long, and he just punched it left. And if he was playing golf, he'd be reaching into his bag for a new ball.
It would have skittered across the
shot
green,
it shot it
right
into the
off
pond.
the back.
Yeah, it'd be in the pond.
Yeah, into the pond. Okay. 11 seconds to go. So the Tiger Cats have dodged a couple of bullets tonight, definitely within their range with the second half to come. And Gonzalez has moved the team effectively at times. His passing has been a little off
and so is
the mark,
Federic.
but Federic has played very well.
He has, and you know, he's completed a couple of deep balls, and so maybe he'll take some of the heat off him and say, you know, I've completed some long ones, so enough is enough.
What was that, about 75% there? 9 of 12? Yeah, 75%.
And really taking advantage of Lawrence Phillips and his best night of the season so far.
No question about it. A superb first half for Lawrence Phillips, closing in on 100 yards, and he'll likely pick up where he left off when we come back for the second half. The guys are ready. It's Wendy's Friday Night Football from Calgary.
12-6 for the Stamps. And okay, so they're not lighting up the scoreboard. We really didn't expect that to happen. But you know what? With the Kevin Federic situation going on the way it has all season long, when he's been in the middle of that controversial position there in Calgary, he's got to feel good about at least what's been going on tonight, Matt.
Yeah,
in the first half.
Oh, exactly, Dave. He's competed all year long, and he's been caught in an unfortunate situation where the owner is his father. We all know that. But what's helped him out tonight is the running game. Lawrence Phillips has set it up. Here's Reginbald right here in the end of the line of scrimmage. You can see him right here, and watch what he does. He just releases upfield like this. They're going to fake to the fullback in the flat here. Phillips is going to set the play action right here, and Frederick is going to throw a dime to Scott Reginbald. This is smart football. You set the pass up with the run. They've been doing it all night long, Chris. I like the way the kid plays. He competes, and he's getting after it tonight, giving the Calgary Stampeders an opportunity to win this football game.
Matty, I love smart football, but I also love football players that show a great effort. I want to show you Troy Davis. We have talked incessantly about the Hamilton Ticats. They have nothing to play for. They're out of the playoffs. But check out Troy Davis on this run right here. Lowers the shoulder and boom! Runs over a couple players. I love that. Troy Davis is one guy. If I'm in the new owner of the Hamilton Ticats, I'm keeping him.
He was running over Davis Sanchez, a guy that's about 115 pounds. I hope you're not watching that. You're 115 pounds. Davis Sanchez is a little heavier than that. Now, in a football game like this where you've got a low-scoring game, part of the reason is because the defensive backs are playing very well. So what that means is quarterbacks need to be able to throw their receivers open when they're covered. And we saw an example here early with Frederick. Here you get a situation where you have a choice. You either want to throw it up and over and lead your receiver, or you want to throw it on a rope and on the throw behind. Those are your options, and you don't want to throw it somewhere in the middle. And now we see Gonzalez. He's going to have the same opportunity coming up here, and it's the same option for him. He's got a guy down the sideline. You want to go up and over and lead him and fade him to the sidelines, or you want to throw it on a rope to his back. He does neither. As a result, the ball gets knocked down. But Kevin Frederick, he's obviously learning. He's saying, I can do better than I did the last time, and he makes a great throw here. Again, Mathis has got great coverage on McDonald, just like he did before, but this ball is led outside and down the football field, and it's nice to see him progressing in his game.
And you talk about guys earning spots for next season. That Darnell McDonald, you guys have liked him
Oh,
all year long,
Big
right? When he's
target.
been healthy, yeah.
Big target, money
Physical receiver, and speaking of physical, how about this big boy, Scott Reginbald, in the end zone for the Stamps. More in a moment on Wendy's Friday Night Football.
Jim Barker's Stampeders had a pretty impressive opening half against the Tiger Cats. Let's check in at the Hamilton bench with Russ Peak and Ron Lancaster.
Ron, the word on Pete Gonzalez was he had to develop a little more patience. What's your rating of him in that first half?
Nothing's changed. You know, we're having success running the football. When you hand the ball off, run it. Don't change it halfway. You know, if it's going, give it to him. I mean, Troy's averaging 6-7 yards a shot. Let's run it at him, and let's slow him down. But we got to do a better job on punt protection, because when we do at the punt, they're getting awful close.
Yeah, and they're running at you, too. Some halftime adjustments to stop that?
Yeah, we knew they'd run at us. They had success running at us last time, but we just got to execute a little better on defense.
Troy Davis with 7 carries for 59 yards in the opening half, but he loses the rushing battle of Lawrence Phillips with 12 and 95 yards.
And both coaches talking about wanting to continue to stay with the running game, and Ron Lancaster has to find a way to stop Lawrence Phillips and Jim Barker's running game, because you're right, they've got the advantage after a half of football.
Talking about patience with the young quarterback Gonzalez, who gets his opportunity to show everyone what he's about tonight, and maybe a couple more opportunities before this season is over. Ticats have 2 more games after this. They'll play BC and Winnipeg and have a bye in the final week. Gonzalez had the opportunity to start the season with Danny McManus on the injured list and played in the first 4 games. In fairness to him, it was tough to judge his ability at that time with the receiving corps that the Tiger Cats had. So ready to get the second half underway. Stampeders on top by a half dozen. Short kick. And Calgary will begin around the 38. Joey Bose on the return there. And here's how the quarterback stacked up, Glenn.
Kevin Frederick won that battle as well. 172 yards passing. His completion percentage still impressive. Pete Gonzalez had a couple late dropped. One by Archie Amerson down the sideline, and that may have inflated his yardage numbers a little bit.
Stampeders get their hands on the ball. to begin the second half here in McMahon. A perfect night for football in October, no doubt about that. Just shy of the 40. First down. Federick swings it out for McCullough. Solid yardage, and McCullough cut from behind. He hits the turf hard as Courtney Young grabbed him by the ankles.
Talked about Jim Barker. He said at halftime that they have to finish drives, struggling a little bit in the field goal department. Now, Duncan O'Mahony did have one early after an 8-play drive, but they want to finish with touchdowns because he's got a couple of misses in there already, and they were short, makeable field goals.
One very late in the opening half. It was definitely the result of a solid Stampeder drive again. So here's Federick looking at second down and 1 to go. This should be enough for a Calgary first down out across the 50.
Get some help there from Marcus Crandall on the sideline as well. He's helping to signal plays in, but you can bet that when Kevin Federick comes off the field, he'll sit and talk to Federick and try and be an extra pair of eyes for the quarterback on the sideline and say, here's what they're doing defensively, here's how you can attack them.
Kevin Federick in 17 quarters in the CFL has scored 62 points behind the center, averaging just 3.6 points per quarter, and that's not enough, but he's been more impressive here tonight, and he's got lots of time here. All day and a wide open target. Hunden streaks for the end zone. James Hunden can't quite get there. Knocked out at the 5, maybe the 6-yard line. Rob Hitchcock got over, and Hitchcock is slow to get up.
Kevin Federick could have just set up camp back in that pocket. He had all kinds of time, and James Hunden, who goes all the way down in motion across the field, he puts the brakes on and comes back because Kevin Federick had so much time to throw the football.
Lots of time to adjust for his quarterback and turn in a 55-yard gain to set Calgary up just outside the 5.
Nice protection for Kevin Federick. Just all kinds of time. Nothing to the play side. Moves back to the opposite side. Never even bothered by a Hamilton Tiger Cat pass rusher. And Hunden finally opens up.
Here's a problem for the Tiger Cats now with Rob Hitchcock heading to the bench because of the injury on the tackle on Hunden. He headed over and he's down on one knee on the far side.
It's been a tough year for Rob Hitchcock. It's tough to keep a guy like Rob Hitchcock out because of his mental toughness, what he brings to the game, and looks like he's in a bit of pain down there on that sideline.
And the way the Stampeders are performing so far here tonight, Glenn, from the 5-yard line, you got to figure that they have an outstanding chance to hit the end zone here. The way they have run the ball and the way Federick has called this game. First and goal to go, Calgary, just outside the 5. There's the toss. Batted away. Floated just a little bit.
Well, in coverage over there was Courtney Young. And Courtney Young, he got matched up on the one-on-one, and he played it aggressively right at the line of scrimmage, 21. You see him right there on Kamal Peterson again. This is that press coverage. And see what he does? He takes away the inside. Doesn't let Kamal Peterson in there. So he makes Federick throw it over top of him and times his jump perfectly.
Batted it down, so it's second and goal to go for the Stampeders. Leading 12-6 on another Wendy's Friday night. Another long pass, jump ball. Error by the Tiger Cat defender. Mathis batted it up instead of batting it down, and it went right to Darnell McDonald. So Federick missed his target, but gets credit for a touchdown toss anyway.
Well, Darnell McDonald limps off the field, but yeah, you're absolutely right. Dietrich Mathis had the perfect opportunity for an interception. It was thrown right to him. He's in perfect position, times his jump, and then just sets one up there. The old volleyball set at the net to Darnell McDonald. See right there, that little bump by Young. Looked like he tweaked his knee.
Conversion is good. McDonald helped to the bench, but he has the touchdown, and the Stampeders have a 19-6 lead. They're dominating tonight.
Run with Diedrich Mathis right up in there. Look how well he plays this. Takes away the inside, times his jump. Look, he's right at the top of his jump, has the football in both hands, and he doesn't make the catch. Bounces up. Darnell McDonald doesn't quit on the play and has himself a touchdown.
And here's the Stampeder kickoff inside the 10. Craig Yeast stopped in his tracks at the 27. Stampeders are fired up. 32,052 fans on hand at McMahon tonight.
I guess that's why a lot of the coaches will say to defensive backs who don't always have the best hands, they say, knock it down. Just knock it down. Diedrich Mathis had himself an interception, and he just volleyball set it back up to McDonald, who limped off the field after that little bump. I mean, look at that. He times the jump perfectly. Has both hands
Coverage
up
was
there.
terrific.
And that's a nice freebie for McDonald, who doesn't quit.
Yeah, 4th touchdown reception of the season for McDonald. Slightly shaken up. Let's see if the Tiger Cats can respond. Gonzalez. Ticats were looking for a call on Hodge. They didn't get it.
Well, see, Damon Hodge ran a post, and what Gonzalez threw was a post seam. And there's a difference there. The post is where you go down the field, and you basically, like it says, you head for the goalpost, which is in the middle. But the post seam is that you make the break and you go down the hash marks. That time Hodge was running the post and Gonzalez was running the seam.
Big seam. Pro post. The other way around. You had to do it that time. 2nd and 10, Tiger Cats. Gonzalez dropped to the turf. They ruled no fumble. It came loose. Demetrius Maxey got there and handed it to Pete Gonzalez.
Pressure up the middle. Little linebacker help in the front 4. They send 5 this time. Willie Fells right there, number 39. He's going to go alongside of Joe Fleming. Good pressure up the middle. See Fleming on the stun underneath. He gets there first. That flushes Gonzalez up, and then he's cleaned up right there. Now he was down before he fumbled the football.
So that's 2 for Demetrius Maxey. Upon further review, he got credit for the sack in the first half, with Fleming helping out, but Maxey has been credited with 2 sacks, including that last one. Bouncing back, and flags will certainly fly right there. 31-yard punt only. Kevin Federick has things going his way for a change in Calgary tonight. Back in on first the Tiger Cats, and what's up with Rob Hitchcock? Russ?
Well, this is twice now in the game that Rob Hitchcock has come off limping and holding his hip. They've put some padding in him and taped him up. He's a tough customer. He's gone back in both times.
Doesn't look all that comfortable, though, does he?
No, he's in a lot of pain, and his pain threshold is way up there. So if Rob Hitchcock is showing you that he is in pain like that with his facial expressions, I'm guaranteeing you it's enough to keep some guys out.
Here's Jermaine Franklin with the update from Calgary's bench. Jermaine?
Darnell McDonald on that touchdown score. He actually strained his left knee. I heard him telling the medical staff that when he tried to jump, it just didn't really go. He had problems with the knee earlier in the season, and it looks like it's coming back to haunt him. Medical staff says he could go back in if they really need him, but they're going to wait and see.
Ticats get a net 15 on that exchange, so look where the Stampeders begin with Federick handing off again. And Lawrence Phillips is over 100 yards on this evening. Stopped by Dave Thomas.
First time for Lawrence Phillips in a Calgary Stampeder jersey for him to be over 100 yards in a game. And
something we've been waiting for, Glenn. I mean, it's been a season of frustration for Phillips, the injuries and a few other little nagging problems around his CFL career.
Well, he's had the hand injury, but coming in, he was averaging just 3.8 yards per carry. Not good enough for your starting tailback, but he's having a game tonight.
Federick, good play action fake to Phillips. He won't get it away. He's wrapped up and dropped to the turf. Cheatwood is there celebrating. Tim Cheatwood.
Well, this time was Tim Cheatwood just decided that he wasn't going to play the fake like he had been. You got to stop Lawrence Phillips, yes, but as a defensive end, your number one responsibility is containment on the quarterback in the passing game, and a couple of times he has been sucked into play action. Not that time.
Cheatwood #2 in sacks in the CFL this season with 8. He's behind Joe Fleming with 10. So 4 sacks on this evening. 2 each way.
With Darnell McDonald out, Saladin McCullough will get more playing time. Stampeders are going to go with the field goal formation. Rob Hitchcock will make his way off, and they'll put a returner on for him.
Purelator Tackles Hunger program has been another huge success with 4 more sacks in this one tonight. We'll get to the tally on that a little bit later this evening. From the 41, O'Mani is wide again. Craig Yeast, I don't know why he's wasting time back there, but maybe looking for this opportunity as Yeast explodes out of the end zone and gets out near the 25.
Hey, come a little early so I can get that crack on his head.
Well, I guess for Duncan O'Mani, with regards to field goal kicking, his philosophy may just become, it's not where you start, it's where you finish.
And that's got to be the story. I mean, this kid has lots of confidence. He was an all-Canadian kicker at UBC.
You know, and he's got to work on the timing, and there's a lot of things involved from the stage. It's the snap back to Don Blair. The hold is down. He turns it perfectly. The ball's in perfect position. Laces away. The hold is absolutely bang on. And O'Mani misses one more to the left.
From the 41 that time. So let's see what the Tiger Cats can do. Here's the hole that Davis has been looking for. Huge first down. Tiger Cats out near the 40. Troy Davis was stopped by Joey Bosse. Starting safety for the Stampeders in this one tonight. They've had some problems at that spot all season long just because of injuries.
Well, that big run is going to help Troy Davis get to his 1,000 yards. 114 yards coming in. Runs like that are going to help him get there in a hurry. He's got 77 tonight.
Hard yard here. Maybe not even a yard. As the Stampeders were waiting, Fleming and Maxey were there.
I think
Antoine Young as well.
Yeah, I guess Antoine Young heard me. Antoine Young said 77. Well, that'll be enough of that. And he just stepped into the hole, and wow, it was some kind of collision. Antoine Young winning the weight battle, 270 pounds, 6'3", defensive end against Troy Davis at 178.
Stampeders did have a difficult time against the run game last week against Ottawa. Renegades had some big yardage, a good average in their victory. A little high and outside.
Well, and Gonzalez is lucky. He is lucky that was high and outside, because Davis Sanchez over there, he had that one figured out. I mean, this is where Patton is going across the desert meeting Rommel. He says, I read your book. You know what I mean? Because he's on the outside to your right here, and Rommel's the intended receiver, and Patton say, I read your book. I got that one. See number 2? If that ball is thrown on line, Davis Sanchez has his 2nd touchdown on the season.
So the danger is don't write
a book
until you're retired.
That's right.
Until the war is over.
17-19.
Jason Curry has had his difficulties tonight too, and they're getting close. Again, he panicked a bit, and the bounces aren't rolling the Tiger Cats' way at all. Flags are down, and Curry is at the bottom of that pile trying to get another short punt. It traveled only 15 yards, so if you're quick enough, and Curry says I was, he's signaling first down Tiger Cats down there. Another flag comes down after that.
Curry is onside. Remember, the punter can, and anyone behind the punter can recover it. They don't have to give 5 yards like you mentioned. And
so
he hustled down there. Now, once he touches it, it becomes live.
Well, Curry was indicating first down Tiger Cats. Now he's got to get the officials to concur with his ruling on the play.
And there is a flag down.
Well, there are flags everywhere.
Yeah.
3 of them that I can spot. Discussion continues. One more look at this.
Well,
a horrible punt.
And what the officials will do, I mean, the punt is bad because of the pressure. There's pressure on the outside. Now that caused the bad punt. Now Curry comes all the way down. He's allowed to recover it, and he is supposed to be blocked by one of the Calgary Stampeders. He's not. He gets in the bottom of that pile. Now the flag will come down automatically anyway on no yards. And then what the officials will sort out is whether or not Curry was the first guy inside the 5-yard, no-yard area. And then they can wave it off if they have to.
Do you think he was? I mean, I couldn't tell from that replay real easily, and that's why this discussion continues down there. Curry makes this Hamilton Tiger Cat football team because he's a fine young athlete. Was a receiver at St. Mary's as well as a kicker.
Well, he was definitely in there, but what they want to do is see if he was the first one and the only one.
Sorting this out as they call a timeout to settle this score. Onside or not, we'll check it out. And Richmond has not been made on how the ruling will go on this play.
Well, there was quite a conference going on, and it's still going on.
They've written a few notes here, so we'll listen with interest.
We have holding Calgary 15. That penalty is declined. We had no yards on the Hamilton punters, so there is no infraction on the play. We have major foul, number 82, Hamilton. Major foul, unnecessary roughness, 99, Calgary. Those are offsetting penalties, dead ball fouls, so it's first down, Hamilton.
So the Tiger Cats recover, and Jim Barker is steamed.
Yeah.
That's number 92, Kareem Grant of the Tiger Cats.
Okay, yeah.
Gets that penalty on Kai Ellis of the Stampeders.
Here's the late penalty. There's the two, and they're going to get, something was sent from Kai Ellis. There's Kareem Grant with the push in the back. Okay, that's the one penalty.
And here are the Tiger Cats steaming their way.
But Jim Barker was upset with that call because he believes that there was someone other than Jason Curry inside the 5-yard area.
First.
Now, Curry's allowed. There's the football. There's Curry. But look at there. Marcus Spencer is right there as well. He's well within it. A Calgary Stampeder touches the football there. I count a couple on the outside, and then Curry jumps into the pile. So, you know, Jim Barker had a couple of guys inside that 5-yard zone along with Curry, and he's still discussing it on the sideline.
He's not going to get anywhere on that, but this penalty goes against the Tiger Cats. We'll now look at 1st and 20 back at the Hamilton 43. Stampeders lead it 19-6. On the shotgun, Davis takes the handoff, and he's wrapped up immediately. Demetrius Maxey having quite a night with a couple of sacks already. 4 sacks in the game. 2 by the Tiger Cats. Woodson has 1. Cheatwood has 1.
Well, and Calgary has not gone with much pressure. We've seen a Willie Fells stunt where he went as the extra guy, making it 5 pass rushers, but they haven't sent 6 or 7. They haven't had to because of the play of Demetrius Maxey. Jim Daly can go with the 4-man pressure.
Maxey gets credit for a quick kick here. Smart play by the Tiger Cats to get it away, and Malvo comes up with it. Kelly Malvo. Well, flags down on the quick kick.
That's interesting. This play you haven't seen very often, a quick kick. And remember, Pete Gonzalez and anyone behind Pete Gonzalez in a quick kick is onside and able to recover it if they can get down the field in time.
Well, it was a good call by the Tiger Cats, I have to think, at what they were looking at, 2nd and about 24.
See Gonzalez, he's in the shotgun, but he'll step up, and that puts the backs that are behind him. Watch when he steps up in between them. Now those backs are also onside, and he hustles down the field in a hurry to try and recover and surprise Calgary. Kelly Malvo picked it up.
Lawrence Phillips on 1st down. Stampeders has 7 yards. A one-man wrecking crew in his finest game as a Stampeder tonight. Courtney Young has played well for the Tiger Cats, number 21.
Calgary Stampeders offensive line are doing a nice job. And they have over the last 4 or 5 weeks, and that's why Saladin McCullough had 161 last week, and why Lawrence Phillips is over 100. They have 135 rushing yards this week.
This is 2nd and 3, Stampeders. This is Lawrence Phillips, and he's gang tackled for a loss. Marcus Spencer leading the charge there. Cheatwood is in the mix as well, and so is Joe Montford, whose name has not been mentioned a great deal tonight. Wendy's CFL Live comes your way from Montreal on Sunday afternoon. It is the Eskimos and the Alouettes, the teams with the 2 best records in the CFL. Potential Grey Cup preview Well, perhaps. We'll look forward to the game, a showdown between two great teams Sunday on Wendy's CFL Live on TSN, 1 o'clock Eastern.
Number 5, Craig Yeast, back deep again for Hamilton.
Yeast drops back as the Tiger Cats hold the Stampeders and force them to kick it away in a hurry. O'Mani. He has struggled as a place kicker, and his average as a punter has gone down a little bit in the last 4 games as well. Yeast out across the 25 to about the 27, and George Whites was waiting for him there. 46-yard punt and 10 on the return. Joe Fleming comes into this game as the leading sacker in the CFL. The Purolator Tackles Hunger program has been a huge success. More than 53,000 pounds of food has been donated to food banks in CFL cities as a result. That's 24,000 kilograms and tons and tons of food there.
That's a whole bunch.
4 sacks in this one tonight. Woodson and Cheatwood for the Tiger Cats and 2 for Demetrius Maxey. So more food going on the Purolator program to food banks here in Calgary as a result tonight. Here are the Tiger Cats, first down. Here's Davis cutting it back inside. He's found some interesting holes tonight. It looked like he'd be stopped quickly, but he got away for a few extra yards, and Otis Floyd made the tackle on Troy Davis there.
And I notice a lot of times when Troy Davis is running the football, he's running away from Joe Fleming's side. Fleming's side will always or often be into the weak side of the field. That time he was into the short side again, and he sealed the back side of the play. And Troy Davis had to go to the front side of the play, away from it.
Pick up of 9, 2nd and 1. And it'll be very close, and see where they end up here. Davis had the ball again, and waiting for him was Willie Fells for 1 from his middle linebacking spot. It'll be a first down. That's the indication.
That's interesting, you know, talking to Ron Lancaster and Jim Barker yesterday in the press conferences. They were both saying how this front 7 for the Calgary Stampeders is so impressive and has been the strength of their team, and yet they ranked 7th coming into this game against the run.
Gonzalez steps up and then decides to take off. He stumbles forward for a couple.
But they're pretty good at rushing the passer.
They have done a nice job there. This duo we talked about, 91 and 76, side by side. I don't know if there's a better combination anywhere in the CFL. 2 guys lining up beside each other game in, game out.
Well, there's 91, and there's the outside is 76, and that they line up side by side. You're right. And what it does is it doesn't allow Hamilton the opportunity to really double team. If they double team Demetrius Maxey, that leaves Joe Fleming in a one-on-one.
Fleming with 10 sacks. Maxey has 7 as a result of 2 tonight. Gonzalez puts one on a rope right there and fires for Akins, who makes a rare catch in this one tonight. Tony Akins coming in with 25 receptions, 428 yards, and that's number 4 for him tonight.
Yeah, and it's a rare time when Pete Gonzalez has had a chance to throw that same stunt. Willie Fells and Joe Fleming come up the middle, but that's the first time that Gonzalez has been able to step into the pocket and throw it a little harder.
Gonzalez still trying to close in on 100 yards passing. He has 91 so far. Maybe this will help. Couldn't read it down the sidelines for Akins again, and Gonzalez missed him.
Well, and that time Pete Gonzalez, probably because of the pass rush and the pressure that he's experienced, to see Joe Fleming, he gets up the field again. This time a nice swim move over the top right there on Ryan Donnelly. But that time Gonzalez rushed the throw. Sometimes you don't need to register a sack to be effective as a defensive lineman.
Yeah, hurries help a lot too, don't they?
Yeah, the hurry. That's the other stat. Teams keep that one, the hurries.
2nd and 10, Tiger Cats. Gonzalez will get a charge here. Looking deep again for Hodge. Hodge goes up over the defender and can't bring it in.
Brought in his helmet. William Fields, and he just took Fields' helmet off his head, and he thought he had the football.
Hope the ears are okay. Yes, they're intact.
William Fields. Good job. 3rd down and 10.
That was good coverage by William Fields.
You know, it's been tight coverage. Both secondaries in this game have played well. Again, look at that. I mean, you can't get in any better position. Fields tried to turn around so that he wouldn't be called for face guarding. He turns around, gets position, and really Hodge had to go up over, and he grabbed his helmet.
Jason Curry at his 40. Last punt traveled just 15 yards. This is much better. London is chased back inside his 5. This guy can be explosive. Not this time. Stopped at about the 8-yard line with a 4-yard return. Federick at the controls for the Stampeders when we return. And Suter upstairs at McMahon's at the 9-yard line. First down Calgary. Here's Federick, and he was on the money. Coverage was too tight. And Kamal Peterson. Don't forget to vote for the Rogers AT&T Wireless Player of the Game. To vote, go to CFL.ca on the internet or by text messaging, type in Go CFL to get your votes in. It's a little early for us to count them, but you can start thinking about players you might think about.
Lawrence
like number
Phillips.
11.
Hamilton can come back. Troy Davis. Your thought?
This will be 2nd and 10. Shotgun for Federick. Looking for an open target. He hasn't run much tonight. Turns the corner here. Grabbed by the scruff of the neck from behind. That was Sean Woodson, who has made an impact for Hamilton tonight, I'd say.
Well, he does because of his experience. You know, he understands the game, played long enough to be able to read the play quickly and be where he has to be in the right spot. And that was Woodson flying over there to help out on that one. And he brings some more leadership back to the Ticat defense. You watch these secondaries play tonight, anything the receivers are getting, they're having to work for.
Ticat secondary had it all covered like a blanket there. There was nowhere for Federick to look, so as a result, O'Mani is in, standing at his 1-yard line, set to punt it away for Calgary. Ticats will get good field position with any kind of a return from Craig Yeast. O'Mani sails this one. It drives Yeast back to around the 40, and the Stampeders are all over it. The flags fly there. George White leading the tacklers.
Hey, you know, George White, he leads the Calgary Stampeders in special teams tackles.
He has 19 on the season. Leads the Stampeders in tackles as well with 59.
Yeah, and that really, it's hard to put to words to describe exactly how tough that really is.
Hamilton 85, first down.
George White has to just run 40 yards, which on a punt is an all-out ballroom brawl from start to finish, because you got a guy trying to block you and pull you down. You hustle down there for 40, 45 yards, you make the tackle, and then you get up, and 20 seconds later, you got to play defense. And that is not easy to do. George White leads his team in tackles. He leads his team in special teams tackles.
33 seconds to go. Third quarter, first down Tiger Cats. Forced back on the penalty to about the 32. Flags again. Davis escapes, and he's across the 40 to about the 42. Gotta love the way this guy has run tonight, and Joe Fleming made the stop on him at last.
Well, again, they're running away from Joe Fleming's side, but Fleming just keeps working, and he ends up getting back involved in the play as Davis tries to cut back. But there's no question the Ticats are attacking the opposite side of the formation. Joe Fleming often lining up into the boundary, and he does again. There's the hash marks. He's right over there. You see, they run away from him. But watch Fleming, keeps working, comes back, and gets another shot at him right there.
Well, and Davis ended up running right back into Fleming, didn't he, when all was said and done. The penalty is against the Tiger Cats. Holding, and it'll be 1st and 20 here. Hamilton moved back to the 22-yard line.
I don't remember a play in this game that the Ticats have attacked that side of the field with the running game.
Gonzalez, a little play action fake. They got Fleming. Forced him to throw it.
What an inside move by Joe Fleming. He went up the field. He got all the momentum of Dave Hack moving one way, and he cut back underneath and was right there. What a move.
Solid matchup between Fleming and Dave Hack much of this evening. And that is the final play of the third quarter. Joe Fleming in action again.
Textbook
more heat on the
inside
quarterback.
swim.
Through 3 quarters, Calgary still in control at home, and Climby, look at him there. He's still reading. He's been reading that rule book ever since that whole thing happened.
Trying to focus.
Oh, is this the library now? Ever since that whole thing happened with the kickoff there, and it took the officials a while to sort it all out. It's taken Climby a whole quarter to sort it all out. So what do you got?
You'd think being a lawyer might assist me in looking at the rule book and figuring out these rules, but no.
No.
So let me tell you what I see here. What you saw Coach Barker on the sideline got all upset when Curry comes down and recovers the ball. And here's why. Here's the ball bouncing around. Now, right here, you're going to see the ball touch a Calgary player right in here. Now, Curry is the closest to the football, but there are some other Hamilton players inside the 5-yard rule in the 5-yard zone. And so that's why Barker was upset. If it hadn't been the case, he believes that his guys are inside the 5-yard, but if the punter's in there and Hamilton guys are in there, then it shouldn't count. And it's all a big mass of confusion. Well, if the rule book was a little clearer, it'd be easier to be clear to the folks at home.
That was my rule book.
Yeah, we'll get it later.
Yeah. I'm not going to talk kicking game. I'm going to talk the running game and how impressed I am with these 2 football teams battling out. Not a lot on the line tonight, but what they're doing, they're playing for pride. And like we talked about earlier in the show, they're playing for positions. We saw Joe Fleming continue to hustle and get after the quarterback. A great rip, pull, and swim move to get his 12th sack in the season, Schultz. I love the way these guys are battling. The running games have been fantastic, and that's the way to go at it tonight.
You know, if there's one area of the Calgary Stampeders that has been consistent all year long, it's been the defensive line. We'll see a highlight here where everyone gets involved in the action. Great little X stunt by Joe Fleming right up the middle. Gets the pressure, gets the sack. Fleming, Maxey, Napastic, and Young. They have been great all year for the Calgary Stampeders. It is one area of football that they can build on, because if you have a good defensive line, that supports your defensive backs. Now, they've made changes all year with those defensive backs. They've had 4 they've released, 2 that are on IR. That's the area they have got to get together, the defensive backs. David.
Yeah, we've talked about it a lot this season. Fleming, after the year off, has just looked great for the most part this season in Calgary. Guys?
1 quarter to go. Stampeders on top, 19-6. Ticats have the ball. Looking at 2nd down and a whole bunch. Gonzalez has time. And this one is picked out. Joey Bose has the interception. Well, and that's his first in the CFL.
The boys just nailed it. They just nailed it. And Chris Schultz, you heard him, that a good defensive line play will support the secondary and it will help that defensive backfield. And Bose covers a lot of ground to go all the way to the outside. Pressure has caused some problems for Pete Gonzalez. He's rushed some throws. He's had some overthrows. And when you overthrow a target, it's often going to be picked off. Joey Bose gets his first in the Canadian Football League. This one goes in the trophy case for him.
Makes a nice play on the football to give the Stampeders a 1st down situation. And Gonzalez first interception tonight. And here's Lawrence Phillips winding it up again. He has been a force for the Stampeders from the very beginning tonight. Lawrence Phillips likes number 11 apparently.
We go one, Danny.
Changed numbers a couple of weeks ago.
About there. So when that happens, Danny can go.
Pretty exciting.
See that guy?
When you
got Rover, you got Buck.
When you get that first one.
And they got 10 yards. A line to the stage.
Joey Bose is trying to contain it, but he's in their side. He's inside right now.
Come on, Dad. How you doing?
All right, I got my first interception.
Yeah, and his first close-up too, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Right? And he knew exactly what to say. Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad.
Hi, Mom. Yeah.
On 2nd down, Federick just got it away. He'll get a 1st down as a result. Nice ad lib by Kevin Federick to just get the ball away.
You know, he's played
Woodson
well.
made the tackle on Phillips.
Kevin Federick has played well, and he's got this team moving. They should have more points on the board. When you think of the Duncan O'Mahony missed field goals, they could be well ahead. Instead of just the 19-6 lead, he's moved the football effectively, and he's even completed a couple deep balls, which most of his critics don't think he can do. And
well, tonight, so far, he has proved what he has been trying to prove all season long, that he belongs in the CFL. He has moved the Stampeders well. Here's Lawrence Phillips, who should get a lot of credit for the success that Federick has had tonight. But what I'm saying is he's called a pretty good game, somehow or other.
And they're coming in from the bench. The calls are without a question. But the quarterbacks work on the game plan during the week, so they have their play package set up. Jim Barker's been sending in all of the plays. He sends it in through personnel. In other words, telling one of the new guys that are going in what the play will be so they can tell Kevin Federick, or they just signal a number out and then he'll look at his wristband and the number that corresponds to that play, he calls it on the line. But you're right, it's been a nice game plan with balance.
Stampeders have another first down. This time set up just outside the Ticat 25. Scott Dibert gets his first carry of the night and finds a huge hole. Down to the 15.
Rob Hitchcock is not back in the game. Sandy Beveridge made that tackle on the last play on Dibert, and you just got a glimpse of Rob Hitchcock heading to the dressing room.
Dibert celebrates his birthday with an 11-yard run. And it's over for Hitchcock in this one tonight. Dibert is 33 today. Federick to the end zone for Peterson. He's got it, touchdown. Kamal Peterson tried to stay inbounds in the end zone. It took a second for the official call to be made, but he has the touchdown. So Peterson has had a pretty nice night too. That's his first touchdown reception this season. And Quick Six, the Stampeder touchdown horse, has had a terrific evening as well. Very busy.
That's why they called the horse Quick Six, because they want Quick Six like this. Fade pattern. You know, the Hamilton Tiger Cats secondary clearly came in with the game plan that they are going to get up, play bump and run, and be physical on the receivers, and just see if Kevin Federick can throw a deep ball, and he's thrown a few tonight. Kamal Peterson got the last one.
Stampeders have a 20-point lead. It's Wendy's Friday Night Football on TSN.
They're ready to play. Are you?
Thanks to Fritos.
They get wild down there, and this guy, he's kind of looking like he's sort of the Fritos Phantom winner.
Yeah, and you got to have an outfit to make this thing work.
I mean, those are some kind of pants.
Yeah, you can't get those everywhere.
When you get a pair of those drawers, you know, you go out on the town here in Calgary with a pair of those drawers on.
James, how you doing?
Way to go, Trevor. We'll see you in Regina.
We fighting. We out here fighting regardless of what it is. We fighting.
Well, the Stampeders are fighting for their lives. And the Tiger Cats will take a look at another quarterback. It's not Danny McManus. It's David Corley Jr. And here's Troy Davis.
Well, the game plan for the Ticat secondary was to tempt and push Kevin Federick and see if he could throw the deep ball successfully. That's why they're up and playing bump and run. And when you play bump and run, the automatic call is for the receiver to run what's called the fade. And that's a real nice catch on the sideline by Kamal Peterson.
Yeah, it really is to
with
hang
the left
in,
foot
left foot down, yeah, dragging it down. Federick knew it was a touchdown right away, but he had a better angle than we did, so Corley's second play. No catch, far side. Hodge was the target there. Troy Davis has been the offensive star for the Tiger Cats so far tonight. He has run well. David Corley.
Well, Ron Lancaster said to us yesterday that he may even start David Corley in one of these games as the season wraps up and just see what he can do if he goes start to finish. Gonzalez struggled. To be fair to Pete Gonzalez, he didn't have a whole lot of help protection-wise. That defensive line for the Calgary Stampeders have been moving the line of scrimmage.
2nd and 10, Corley. A 30% passer so far in the CFL, and that will not help the percentage either.
George White had himself an interception. He just dropped back in there. He showed blitz, and he disguised it well on Corley, and then dropped out and just knocked that one down.
Well, we have our Fritos Fandemonium winner. We have to be thinking about Glenn's Gladiator as we head into the final 10 minutes here at McMahon tonight as well.
Well, as you know, the Gladiator is not always the outstanding player type guy with the big numbers like Lawrence Phillips or something like that. He's often a guy in the trenches.
London misplays this and has to go inside the 10 and batted out of bounds. So the Tiger Cats don't have an opportunity. There's Lawrence Phillips for a couple, and Tim Cheatwood tracked him down.
And threw him down. He just grabbed him and he rodeoed him down to the ground. This is like the steer. Cheatwood up at the top here, and he's gonna step up into the line and then just grab onto the shoulder pads of Lawrence Phillips, and then watch this part. This is the end. He just tosses him back.
Well, that's in Calgary. They do that an awful lot. That's called steer wrestling.
Steer, yeah, there you go.
But usually the Stampeders are involved in that.
Phillips was the steer.
He was steered to the turf. 2nd and 9. Federic looks to take off himself. He'll draw a penalty marker if he is out of bounds after the 10-yard gain, or at least 9 yards, enough for the first down. So,
well, Don Blair was blocking downfield for Federic on that side of the play, and I'm not sure if he wasn't called on a holding or an illegal block. Flag ended up landing right beside him.
On the out-of-town scoreboard late in the first half from Vancouver, Shrumbowl. Simon Fraser leading UBC 10-3.
Of course we are.
Hamilton 21. First down.
Could be back-to-back wins for those Klansmen. Simon Fraser won the Shrumbowl last year. Canada West in other action tomorrow. Saskatchewan at Manitoba. Regina here in Calgary against the Dinosaurs. Just to wrap up that CIS scoreboard. Stampeders will get the first down. 8:33 to go. Kevin Federic tasting victory once this season, and thanks to Lawrence Phillips, he may get an opportunity again here tonight with a 20-point lead. Lawrence Phillips has turned in his best game as a Stampeder. It's the best game I've seen Phillips play since he came to the CFL.
Yeah, since Montreal. Anyway, he had a couple of good ones last year with the Alouettes, but this shows his great balance, because he hits the line and then he gets tripped up there by Scott Coe, but he keeps the balance. That's why running backs do those drills when they're kids. They run with the football and they'll put their hand down on the ground and then switch the ball and put the other hand down on the ground to keep the balance. 140 yards for Lawrence Phillips.
Averaging 7 yards a carry. Here's another 7, maybe 8.
Phillips on the carry again for good yardage. You got about 7.
His best game for Phillips before this one was a 96-yard effort versus the Edmonton Eskimos. Team is over. I mentioned earlier the Calgary Stampeders have only been over 100 yards 3 times. Once versus Hamilton, Ottawa twice. In 2 of the 3 of those games they've won. And they're well on their way to a win here tonight. And they've outrushed their opponents tonight.
And usually when they do, they win. 3 wins in 4 games of rushing their opponents. And here's Lawrence Phillips, who's just getting started, apparently. 7:04 to go. Kevin Federic has used his running back very well.
He has. He's been patient with the running game. He's used Lawrence Phillips, and then when he's used play action, he can fake it to Phillips and go up over the top. Scott Reginball wide open for an early touchdown.
And here's the one to come out, Peterson, who makes a heck of a play to hang on to the ball and get a foot down inbounds in the end zone with tight coverage.
I mentioned it earlier, but I just can't imagine any backup quarterback in football that's had more criticism and more pressure on him than Kevin Federic.
Just hasn't happened. Dybert, this time his 2nd carry, and Marcus Spencer ran him down. The running game has been very effective for Calgary tonight.
Now, Lawrence Phillips, who you mentioned a couple days ago had food poisoning, sure isn't showing it, is he?
No. A yard shy. Well, less than a yard, I would say, to be exact. 26 for the Stampeders, 6 for the Tiger Cats. And the scoreboard indicates the play of the game as well as the rest of the stats tonight. Second and 1, Stampeders. Out near midfield, Federic himself, and flags fly.
Well, you know, and again, whenever you're talking about running backs having a big game, you look up in those trenches again. And right now, the Calgary Stampeder offensive line, led by Jamie Crysdale in the middle, have opened up some big holes. And Lawrence Phillips has hit those holes. But you can't talk about a good, successful running game unless you include the offensive line. Bobby Singh's playing well up there, and they are just moving that line of scrimmage. Tim Cheatwood and Joe Mumford play over on that other side, remember?
How about Jamie Crysdale? 184 consecutive games in the middle of that Stampeder offensive line.
Hey, and when you're starting to talk Gladiators, I'll tell you what, that's where the Gladiators are. That's where they're born. That's where they come from. Gladiators, those linemen.
Dybert again. We're giving Phillips a bit of a rest here with 5:35 to go.
The one thing that really can disrupt a running game is penetration from the defensive line. If they can get a man or two in the backfield, that's when you disrupt running plays. And we haven't mentioned Joe Mumford tonight.
Well, maybe once.
Maybe once.
Yes.
Tim Cheatwood, maybe once. They are getting pushed back.
Cheatwood does have a sack, so we have mentioned him at least one time. Federer sliding for the first down himself. Interesting call, wasn't it? Faked the pass to the far side and then took off for the necessary yardage on 2nd and 3. A career high for Lawrence Phillips.
There's that magic number in the carries department. One that running backs love to see when they get into the 20s. Touch the ball 20 times and get 100 yards.
And a huge average for Phillips tonight. 7.3 per carry.
Dybert just wants to hit anything that moves. And even if it doesn't move.
Well, and that's into the concrete over there.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're tough, but you're trying to knock over the stadium wall. And that was Dybert over there on that sideline.
Over 30,000 again here in Calgary tonight.
Well, they've seen a good old-fashioned football game with the run game being the key. And here, there's a good hard hit right into the stadium. Take that. Take that, McMahon.
This team owes it to its fans. Totals so far.
Paulus Ballison and Duncan O'Mahony, it's been a bit of a nightmare for both of them.
Troy Davis has almost 100 yards. However, the Tiger Cats are in arrears. The game story for Sport Check, the best value. So let's see what Duncan O'Mahony can do with this opportunity after struggling and hitting just 1 of 4 previous kicks. O'Mahony is wide again. Greg Yeast has room down the near sideline. And Dybert got over to force him out.
Well, the bad news for Calgary here is just before we went to break, Bobby Singh was rolled up on. He's right here. And Scott Dybert is tackled by Marcus Spencer in the backfield. And watch how they roll into the back, into the left knee of big number 62. And right when we talked about how well that this offensive line have been playing, Bobby Singh is taken off and on the wagon, and they'll take a look at that knee.
So the Tiger Cats have 3 minutes and 27 seconds to go and 20 points to make up on the Calgary Stampeders. David Corley Jr. and they fumbled the exchange. Corley actually got it back, lost it again. Here's a touchdown. A double fumble on the play, and celebrating in the end zone is Antoine Young. Willie Fells creating the turmoil down there. Corley lost it, got it back, and then fumbled it again.
A little bit of fit fumble and fall down from the Hamilton Tiger Cats. One of the very few times they actually attacked Joe Fleming's side. The ball comes out. Willie Fells rips it out of Corley right in the middle of your screen and pulls it right out before he goes onto the turf. And Antoine Young gets it on the one hopper.
Dreaming of the days he was a running back, I'm sure. That was a few pounds ago.
Yeah, a bunch.
27-yard fumble return for a touchdown. And the convert is blocked. Oh, man, he is having a tough night. Maybe the president will have to come down from the ivory tower, Mark McLaughlin, and do some kicking. This play carries on, and the Tiger Cats end up with the ball, but it's been a night for the Stampeders to celebrate. 32 points on the board. They won't worry about a missed convert with Young celebrating in the end zone.
Do it, baby. That's how you do it. Put it down. First touchdown. My first touchdown. It's all good. We're taking this to the house, baby. Good job, baby. Take it to the house. Take it to the house.
Antoine Young celebrating.
First touchdown.
Obvious reasons.
Look at that smile.
Here we go again. One more time. See if I can get another one.
Singers always want to be dancers, and dancers always want to be singers. D linemen want to carry the ball in the end zone.
Well, he was high stepping all the way. Craig Yeast for the Tiger Cats returning here, dropped in his tracks at the 33. A wacky play for Antoine Young's first touchdown.
Well, Antoine Young, I mean, and it's fitting that this defensive line
fumble
is rewarded. There's the first fumble, then it picked up. Now Phelps rips it out, bounces right to Antoine Young, and look at this, high knees. He's got those arms pumping. He even broke a tackle there, didn't he?
Okay, I'm not sure he broke a tackle.
Big smile from Antoine Young on the sideline. Gets his first ever touchdown.
32-6. The Tiger Cats in arrears to the Stampeders on the verge of their 5th victory of the season. Stampeders needed this to keep hopes alive. Davis has run well for the Tiger Cats all night long. This is another great run as he gets out across midfield and into Stampeder territory. It'll be too little too late for the Tiger Cats. Tempers are a little unruly down there all of a sudden. Mahalik in the middle of things.
We talked about Calgary and their chances, and the odds are not great. You saying there's a chance. They need 4 things to happen. Well, let's say that one's good. Have to win tonight. Now they just have 3 more things that they have to do.
Back-to-back games against the Rough Riders in a home-and-home series that begins next week at Saskatchewan in Taylor Field, so they'll have to win in Taylor Field.
The Riders
win the final game.
Yeah.
And if the Riders win one,
it's over for Calgary.
There's still hope. It's David Corley.
There's Antoine Young again.
So we're saying there's a chance from the movie Dumb and Dumber, starring Jeff Daniels and Jim Carrey. And here we are up here reprising their role. I don't know who you want to be.
I don't know if that's a good thing or not. I'll take Jim Carrey's paycheck, though.
Yeah, I think he did a little bit better on that movie, although Daniels is pretty fine, too.
It makes it a little easier for Jim Barker and these Calgary Stampeders for another week. You know, something to fight for. Keep their hopes alive.
Corley in trouble again. And Corley wrapped up and down again. Score a touchdown, and you go a little wild out there all of a sudden. Antoine Young, back-to-back sacks after the touchdown. That's 4 sacks for the Stampeders tonight. 2 for Demetrius Maxey and 2 for Antoine Young, who might be nominated all of a sudden as a gladiator.
Well, yeah.
On the list anyway. I know this is your choice. I don't try and influence you.
But see, that play right there, Antoine Young gets a sack. Do you see Joe Fleming, what he did
right there?
Joe Fleming was right there as well. Fleming gets that sack, but Joe Fleming was taking on Antoine's young man, his man, and his own man.
Curry's kick. The Stampeders have Danny Derricott back there to return. Oh, wisely stepped out of bounds because he was in someone's sights down there without question. Chris Bain. So, sack.
See, it's not always the sacks.
No, because Maxey had 2 and Antoine Young had 2.
No, but the gladiator doesn't necessarily just get the stats. The gladiator is the guy in the trenches often that's working hard every play. And Fleming, they ran away from him. He battled with the great tackling Dave Hack. He was all over the field, not taking one play off. Joe Fleming is Maximus tonight.
So he is Glenn's gladiator on a big night for the Calgary Stampeders with a 32-6 lead. Calgary First down with Keith Smith in the game at quarterback. Kevin Federick will get the victory. He's won a couple that we were here to witness at McMahon Stadium, thinking back to his first victory of the season and the Stampeders' first win of the season, if I recall correctly.
Keith Smith.
What's going on, bud? Watching this game? Leaving those messages? Finally, it feels good to get a win, man. Definitely.
14 of 19. Nice night for Federick. Almost picked off. In fact, it is.
Yeah, Brandon Hamilton.
Brandon Hamilton got it going over top of the Calgary receiver.
It's just a good opportunity, though, for Keith Smith just to get a few reps in there. And he was in Edmonton's camp. In fact, I remember talking to Tom Higgins in training camp, and he had Jason Moss, Bart Hendricks, of course, Ricky Ray, and Keith Smith in camp. And he said, you know, we have 4 bona fide starters. We have 4 guys that I think could start on a lot of teams. And he was including Keith Smith. He's got some experience.
In Saskatchewan.
Yeah.
In Edmonton. Now, it gets more interesting with Kevin Federick's victory here in this one tonight, doesn't it?
No, he earns another start.
Well, he certainly does, but here's Davis. Has broken a lot of tackles tonight. This guy's had a game. Unfortunately, there weren't enough other plays behind him as markers go down.
I think Troy Davis is over 1,000 yards now.
In the middle of it down there, Otis Floyd, 35.
Oh.
And this is a little bit ugly all of a sudden.
Now,
markers everywhere, and there's an official down on the field on the 5-yard line, lying him face down on the field.
Otis Floyd threw that helmet. I'm not sure if that helmet hit the official.
Good night, Otis. Catch the next elevator.
He just lost it. He snapped.
Now this is going to be a fine and likely a suspension if in fact the result of the injury to the official down there is proven against one of these players on the field. Remembering back to what happened here on Labor Day.
Ed Hervey.
Ed Hervey suspended for a game.
He ripped someone's helmet off and then threw it, and I believe it hit the official. There's Floyd in the fight right there. Looks like it's with Carl Coulter, and then there he tries to kick Carl Coulter. And Fleming's just trying to break him up, and then it gets worse. And this is where it really goes ugly. Another attempt to kick from Floyd. The helmet comes off. He throws it, and it hits the official. And you're right. I mean, this is Otis Floyd. He lost it. He flipped, and he's going to be suspended for this. You can guarantee that.
He won't be playing the Saskatchewan Roughriders next week.
And now the major concern is the official down there, and just hope that he's not seriously hurt. I mean, you've got to control yourself and conduct yourself like a professional, and Otis Floyd did not do that.
Boris Velsic, the line judge.
Well, that's great that he is up. He's the way he's looking at. Looks
Jim
like
Barker is over there talking to the official and apologizing for the actions of his football team, actually, but in particular his linebacker Otis Floyd, who is out of the game and in the dressing room.
You know, Otis Floyd, it didn't look like to me like he looked at the official and aimed it at him. He just threw it. But you don't throw a helmet and you don't kick somebody. And that, that's not conducting yourself as a professional. And Otis Floyd will pay for it in a couple of ways. You can guarantee that.
Can't guarantee there will be a suspension. How that exactly transpired down there, but it's pretty good. Pretty good bet that he'll be fined heavily, and we'll likely.
Yeah. I mean, the Not protected by equipment.
We have rough play disqualifications. Calgary 30, the double penalty. Hamilton 51, Hamilton 68. It will be first down. They're all dead ball fouls.
And Otis Floyd, in my opinion, needs to be suspended and needs to be fined for this. You know, it gets heated down there. There's no question, but you still have to keep your composure, and that's
uncalled for.
That's uncalled for, and Otis Floyd is lucky that the official has even been able to walk off.
Boris.
Number as your message, then send to Go CFL or vote online CFL.
Another interesting night at McMahon Stadium. Stampeders on the verge of their 5th win of the season, and that will keep the playoff hopes alive, and the owner will be happy with the performance of his team, and in particular his son, Kevin Federick. Could not be faulted for the way he played this game here tonight. He threw touchdown passes.
He played a great game. He did what he had to do to win the football game, and that's all you can ask from your quarterback.
So in his 4th start, Kevin Federick has his 2nd win of the season. And the Tiger Cats are here inside the 10 with a first down, just hoping to run out the string. That'll be a touchdown for Troy Davis, who has had a terrific night.
Yeah, he has.
The Tiger Cats in a losing cause.
He's over 1,000 yards tonight, and then he'll add that touchdown as well. He has played very well in a losing cause, and you know, in the second quarter, the Hamilton Tiger Cats sort of went away from Davis, and then we heard Ron Lancaster come out in the halftime and say, we're going to go back to Davis, and then they just got behind, and things kind of snowballed on them. But Troy Davis sure did his part.
16 carries for 153 yards on the evening. And as you say, he's over 1,000 yards one more time. So Troy Davis has played well in recent weeks for the Tiger Cats. Back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons. 5 touchdowns, including 1 here tonight. 41 seconds before we wrap up this game and think about heading to Montreal on Sunday afternoon for the Eskimos and the Alouettes in that one.
Lock and load, baby, there.
Calvillo against Ricky Ray, we hope, although, as you were saying, there's some question as to whether or not Ray will be able to start that game. We'll find that out officially tomorrow when we do get to Montreal.
And that game's on the new high def.
It will be. TSN high definition service, bringing you the best sports programming. Programming like you've never seen it before. TSN HD, redefining the image of sport. Another penalty against the Tiger Cats. Obviously lining up for a 2-point convert here. David Corley Jr. One hop that one for the intended receiver, Archie Amerson, who had a very quiet night. Well, the moon over McMahon tonight.
Yeah.
Few wacky things happening in this ballpark this evening. A beautiful fall evening for football.
It was, and a great day here in Calgary, and you talked about over 30,000. And
where is the Sea of Tranquility there? You got your pencil handy?
You know, I guarantee you it won't be in the Calgary locker room when Jim Barker gets a hold of Otis Floyd. And it might not be in Ron Lancaster's either when he just addresses his team.
Well, Lancaster has 2 games to go against Winnipeg and BC. He was talking about it yesterday and about not wanting to be easy pickings for the Blue Bombers or the Lions as they try and move into playoff positioning in the final few weeks of the season. The Tiger Cats have a bye in the final week, so the standings In the CFL West, have Edmonton on top, followed by Winnipeg, as you know. BC in third spot. Saskatchewan fourth, even in points, but with one more game and having the bye this week. And Calgary hanging in there. We're saying there's a chance at 5-10 if the Stampeders run the table after this. And that means back-to-back wins over Saskatchewan and a win over Toronto. It also means that Saskatchewan cannot win another game.
That's right.
As soon as the Rough Riders win a game, the Stampeders are officially eliminated. Short kick. 39 seconds on the clock. Kamal Peterson comes up with the ball. So everything has gone pretty well the Stampeders' way in this one tonight.
Well, I think, you know, when it all often comes down to that trench warfare, and again, the Stampeders won that battle. Their O-line opened up holes, their D-line tremendous, especially pass rushing, led by Maximus himself, our gladiator Joe Fleming. And when you get both lines controlling the line of scrimmage, you're going to win the football game, and that's what the Calgary Stampeders did tonight.
2 sacks by Demetrius Maxey, and Fleming was around both of those, and back-to-back sacks by Antoine Young for the Calgary Stampeders.
John Maximus said, what you do in life echoes through all eternity. What Joe Fleming did in the game may echo through the rest of the season and through his entire career.
My gosh, Glenn. That moon is having a strange effect on everybody tonight.
There's Maximus tonight, and I just love the way he plays full speed every play, and he didn't get the sacks tonight. They were credited to Maxey and Antoine Young and all of that, but make no mistake, Joe Fleming is the leader up there.
Time ticking down on this one. Unofficially 12 seconds to go. 4 sacks by the Stampeders, 2 by the Tiger Cats. So the Purolator Tackles Hunger program has another huge evening. More than 53,000 pounds of food has been donated to food banks in CFL cities so far this season. That's it. A wild and wacky night at McMahon Stadium in Calgary. And just like we said at the outset, we're saying there's a chance.
Their hopes are still alive. Calgary Stampeders have a long way to go, but they're saying there's a chance.
What they have to do is run the table from here on in and hope the Rough Riders don't win another game.